Okay, so it is Tuesday, May 12th. This is the Industrial Development Commission meeting for the town of Norton. It is 6:37 p.m. and we'll open the meeting. Members present include Laura Parker, myself, Renee Daly, Sandy Olerhead, Denise Luciano, and Anthony. Help me, Anthony.
Kolodchek.
Do it.
Kolodchek.
I remembered it, but not to say it. Obviously.
Don't worry, it's a work in progress.
I know, but you know that the first, yeah, there are. Oh yeah, if you can break them down so that you can pretend the silent ones just aren't there. It's like, I feel like it's an English lesson for my son.
I know. No, I'll work with you. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. Well, hey, it's good to have you back because that means I don't have to take notes, nor does anyone else.
Yes, I am so excited to get back on that grind.
Excellent. We're excited to have you back too. So I think in respect to members, Michael Toole should be joining us a bit late. So I'll just keep an eye on the window when he joins. We're lucky tonight in respect to the agenda. We have Jeff here with Condyne. He's going to talk to us about the properties within Norton and some potential opportunities and partnership moving forward. Then we'll go through the marijuana bylaw and the overlay, talking about the public hearing we had last week, the status of the bylaw, the HCA, and then go through some previous meeting minutes. So I don't expect to have a long meeting tonight. But certainly, I think it'll be a good discussion. I think we're at a good point and continue with forward progress. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for reaching out. I think, from the discussion that we had at the Board of Selectmen on the liquor license and certainly how that will impact the IDC in the town and then your properties as well that you have, I think it's a good time. So I appreciate you reaching out.
Good. Well, thanks for having us. So, again, we're the developers of Norton Commerce Center and also Blue Star Business Park. So as you well know, in Norton Commerce Center, we've brought in pretty well over 1,000 jobs to that park. We have approximately, I think it's about 1.5 million square feet in total development that's there, plus or minus. And it's been a great base for the town and obviously for job growth in both tax revenues that have been brought in. We have 2 lots that are remaining at that park. So one is a 5-acre lot and the other one is just about 6 acres. And we can take a look. I don't know if we can share documents on this, but those 2 lots are available. They're industrial zoned and they're probably a couple of the most pristine. One is located directly on Route 495, the highway, with highway visibility, and the other one is directly across the street from that. So they abut the city of Taunton, right at the Taunton line, and have all full utilities, access, everything that's in place. So we're looking for opportunities to present with that. I think that.
Hey Jeff, do you want to share your screen?
Sure, if I can.
Yep, you should be able to. There should be an option down at the bottom that says share screen.
Okay. So here this is the highway lot that's located. So here's Route 495. Here's the exit to Bay Street coming right off. This is the Norton line and the Taunton line coming right down at the property level. And then this is the South Washington Street coming in. And then as soon as you get up to this level, here would be pretty close to the entrance of Norton Commerce Center. So as you can see, in the past, we had proposed a hotel here, but hotels have been obviously fallen by the wayside as a recent economic downturn. And I guess it's a question, do we see that coming back? So, and we don't think that this was a strong hotel site at this point in time in the market. If I show you the next
so Jeff,
site,
this is undeveloped
right
property?
It is raw land, yes, that's correct. And then this is the site directly across the street. So that site we were just looking at is over here, and then this is the one directly across the street. So this location could hold anywhere up to, I think, about 45,000 square feet. You know, we've talked to, various brewers in the past. Be a great place for a brewery. that could service the park. There's really not many amenities for Norton Commerce Center that's in there. We talked about maybe food trucks, that type of thing, or in addition, it would be a great option for one of your marijuana overlay groups that was looking to locate down this area. So again, here is the City of Taunton Town line. This is the utility easement for TMLP coming up, and then National Grid is everything on the other side of the town line. So actually, some of the properties do have dual feeds, such as a Nylum coming in. They have two power sources, both City of Taunton and National Grid. So those two lots are available, and that's what we have remaining in Norton Commerce Center.
Jeff, can I ask you, you mentioned that they both
we
have full
switch-
utilities, so they have water and sewer hookup for both?
That's correct. Yes, they do. Everything is in place. The sewer is in the street,
Is
as
that
well as the water
Norton's?
is right as well at the street level. Yes, the sewer, Renee, is private, so the sewer is called NC Sewer. And what we have through that is a permit for all the buildings in Norton Commerce Center to dump into the City of Taunton sewer system with a permit agreement that's in place. So we have a pump station that's within the park, and all the sewer goes through the pipes that are in the street that's set, and then pumps out to the City of Taunton through an old permit that's been in place for years. So if we
Thank you.
switch gears, sorry, if this is the overview of Blue Star, this is the master plan for Blue Star Business Park. So you can see roughly about 11 buildings. Phase 1 is this area, which is up front, that you see here. Building 5 is undergoing construction right now. You'll see the walls are up in Building 5. The steel is up as of today. And then Building 4 is closely, probably about 2 months behind Building 5, right in that location. Building 5 is 50% leased now. We probably will see, we expect that tenant to take the rest of the building. And then Building 4 is out for lease right now in the market as well. And then Building 7 over in this location is a beautiful prime development site for build-to-suit types of companies. As we were looking at a close resemblance of what we could do with the retail up front, we were originally proposing a hotel and a 10,000 square foot retail hotel and restaurant. We still have strong interest from the restaurant, but we're on a hiatus with what's happening in the market today. And we do have a liquor store, of a high-end liquor store, that would like to come in and open anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 square feet of a size store that would be in that location. This will give you a little bit closer up. So roughly, this is just under 11,000 square feet. This is where the liquor store would like to go. And then these two lots, we have the flexibility for both restaurant, various retail, or other uses. So with your
Hey, Jeff,
overlay district for the marijuana use, yes. Go ahead, Renee.
sorry, there's about a 10-second delay in talking, but also in your images loading. So your
Okay.
image just loaded for the zoomed in areas. Can you just start with that overlay again, or that overlay, geez.
Sure. That's all right. So this is the first retail where the liquor store would like to be located. This is what we call Blue Star Business Park number 1. In that location, we're looking at roughly 5,000 or 6,000 square feet for that use. And then we're reserving a potential for drive-through for one of the coffee chains once the park is developed. Building 2 in this location here, and Building 3 are wide open for a variety of uses. One was an interested restaurant, and the other we had was a hotel interest that was looking to locate to there as well. Both Building 2 or Building 3 could be of interest for a marijuana use in that location. This is the Route 123. This is the off-ramp of Route 495, and then this is Leonard Street, which is under construction now, this whole section.
And Jeff, what's the date that these buildings are expected to be finished?
Building 5 is expected to be done August 15th, which is the big one. Building 4 is, this one here is in October, November timeframe. And then building 1 would be delivered in the first quarter of 2020. And that would be this retail building that's located here. Everyone can see that layout?
Yes.
So if we looked a little bit, this one might take a little bit of time to load up. Here was a brief overview. Again, master plan, you can see the descriptions of the buildings at Blue Star Business Park up here. These are the buildings, and we can send this all to you electronically so you have it. These are a lot of the amenities that are in the area that we're targeting. So as you can see, 95, 495, and the various retail locations that are here. This is what we're seeing in the e-commerce effect. So I would say that this square footage here of 3 million square feet absorbed is probably, I would say this slide is no more than 6 months old. And since this time period, this 3 million has probably turned to 6 to 7 million square feet since then. This category killer here, Amazon, has taken up pretty close to about 4 million, 5 million square feet in the Southeast Mass market. So everywhere from Bellingham down to Middleborough, down to Fall River, and then all within those locations and including the city of Taunton. So we're seeing an immense amount of growth happen here in the e-commerce effect. This is what puts the industrial market in a strong position with the types of assets that we have in the fulfillment centers. If these buildings were up, we missed a requirement both from FEMA and MEMA for an immediate need. They took 2 buildings in Franklin of about 150,000 square feet apiece. So we see a strong position, and we also see the medical market would come in and take quite a bit of these, and we don't know where the government or the state level is going to continue. This tenant here is the tenant that's coming to Norton. So that one that's there. And then we're continuing growth with those folks as well.
Is
So a
that
little bit-
the building, I'm sorry, is that the building 5, 50% capacity?
That's correct.
Okay. Laura, did
So
you have a question earlier?
I did. He made reference to retail marijuana establishments, and I thought there were debt covenants within this property that precluded them from having marijuana establishments.
You are correct. So buildings 1, 4, 5, and 7 do not allow marijuana based on the debt covenants that are in place. Buildings 2 and 3 do allow it.
Got it. Thank you so much.
So there's a different ownership position that's between 1, 4, 5, and 7. Buildings 2 and 3.
And then what
But you
about
are-
6 and 8?
6 is, this has become compensatory storage. So this is a flood zone parking lot that's going to be for the conservation.
Okay.
And that's being done. And building 8 is phase 2. So everything back in phase 2 is probably, I would say, we're going to start the permitting relatively quickly in the next 60 days, and then would not start construction on probably to the fall of 2020, late fall. So this will be
Perfect.
a later
Thank
on
you.
development. A little bit about the industrial park itself. So again, with the industrial, we want minimal impact for essential service, police, fire. Again, water and sewer. Warehouses aren't a high water use. Again, we're looking tax revenue of increased park anywhere from 850 to $1.5 million. We also will look at personal property taxes with what the companies bring to the park. Anywhere from 300 to 500 jobs. And the tenants and employees will support the local economy. So whatever restaurants, lunch, business services that are there, as well as excise tax with vehicles or anything else that would be coming into place too. Development opportunities, we're bringing in construction jobs. The tenants that we bring are great corporate neighbors. You know, I always use the example of Horizon Beverage. They do a lot for the town. And then again, any sort of recreation area, which we're doing on behalf with the Conservation Commission. Give you a sample of what the exterior buildings would look like. So here is building 5. So that's this building here. So it's tilt-up concrete with the glass entryways that are here. And then you can see the reverse of color. So we have a dark gray and a light gray. And then you can see an idea of what the retail will look like up front. So we're looking for a modern retail that's going to match with what the buildings are in the back. This was the proposed hotel use that's on hold. So basically, that gives you just a little idea of what the park is. Again, we should be working closely with you folks so you have an idea, and we're keeping you informed of what's happening, but we're always continually chasing requirements that's being offered through the various brokerage firms, as well as we see requirements coming out from the state of Massachusetts. You know, for right now, there's a farmer requirement that's out looking through Mass Econ that is probably about $150 to $200 million project. We want to do everything in our powers to try to get this site on the radar screen. What we don't want to lose is another Brammer Bio for Norton and see him go into another municipality close by when we think somehow we should have figured out how to bring him in. So I think there's a lot of that, both collectively with us and with the IDC, that we should find a way of making sure that we work together, give all the incentive packages, any sort of information that we can get from you in the town that only helps our selling pitch much better to bring these companies to Norton. So I think that the request of tonight was, in addition to bringing you up to date on the park, would there be interest of trying to bring the high-end liquor store to the town? We would have to look at expanding the number of licenses through the state, which is doable, and I believe it was just done in Sharon. And this liquor store would service this side of Route 123 on the Norton side. So it's a full liquor service. So it's wine, beer, and spirits that they sell and everything that's inside. And that would start the first retail building up front as well, because it'd be a great tenant and occupancy that would be there.
And one that's actually open during the pandemic.
I wish it was already up, because they probably would have already been in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll ask the group first if there are any questions about what Jeff reviewed. Quiet group.
And you're welcome to take a tour. So if you want to come out and visit the site, by all means, we'd love to have you. We can give you a tour of the site. Obviously, we have to do our safe distance and you have to wear a hard hat and a mask, but you're welcome to come out and take a tour so you firsthand you can see what's happening.
I had
actually
one just
did a
really
I'd
quick
like to
question. I know
drive-by.
that.
Go ahead, Denise.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. My question's quick. I know that some of this land is not buildable because of conservation issues. Will there be any future expansions after buildings 8 and 9 that you foresee in these areas?
Yes, that is, here, I'll get you the master plan, so hold on. I can switch. This is the master plan. So if you can see that on your screen now. And here is building 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and that's it. So that's the max build out that's allowed here through all of the 190 acres. There is natural wetlands with Canoe River that separates most of this, and there's a lot of conservation and wetland resources. So what's been designed is really the max build out that can happen.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Jeff, this is certainly helpful. If you could send this to me and I'll send it out to the group. Only this particular slide too, because you have square footage in there. So, you know, a lot of the folks that we've talked to, when we talk to them, they're giving us their requirements, right? Specifically, we've got it from, I mean, I know that, you talked to, I think Sam, right, from Horizon, and when we talked to them about what they were looking for, as I mentioned to you in the email, the 15,000 to 50,000 square feet. And then we talked to somebody from Maine too. So having this information, I think, would be valuable for us. So when we have conversations, we can say, these are some of the things that are available, or available in the future, and then
Good.
can certainly put them in touch with you from there.
Perfect. We
So
did
have you
speak
had any
with
interest
the,
down in the Norton Commerce
with
Center?
Horizon. With Horizon, we do have interest from them on one of the sites. That is correct.
And those are ongoing conversations?
We probably in the last, we haven't talked to the Epsteins, I think probably in the last 6 months. So about 6 months ago, when
Okay.
a lot of this was starting to take shape. Correct.
Okay. But for the Blue Star area, really what's in
2 and
there
3.
for,
Right in the-
yeah, is that big enough for them? Two?
You can combine the
No.
lots, so the lots could be combined. And if you look,
I think
You know,
it's a
this
little bit
building
too much
here is
visibility for
16,000
them. They
square
were
feet.
looking to be tucked away.
okay,
What was that, Laura? Sorry, we've never had this delay.
No, that's okay. No, it's bad tonight. But Horizon was looking for no visibility. That's like prime visibility where they are there. I think they're looking for some. I think NCC is probably a better fit with the site across from the one that has visibility on the highway. They were looking to be tucked away and have good highway access. They did not want to be seen.
right. This site would be the best. This would be their best site and their best option, we think. So, okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything
so-
else that you need, always reach
Jeff,
out to
how
us,
can-
so we're available.
Sure. I was going to ask, like, how can we help you in some of this, getting people in touch with you, or getting information out? Like, what can we do to help to try to bring some businesses into town?
Well, I think on one hand is, we're representing everything that we know of the benefits of Norton. And I'm sure that the inner workings of Norton, you folks know a lot more than we do, but we should be bringing everything together, such as a full scale marketing package. Hey, why Norton? So, we have utilities, we do have sewer, we do have, the water that's here, we have competitive tax rate, we have a great school system, we have, an unbelievable location located right off of 495, close to 95 and 24. So we do most of that, but it would be good to get a package that comes from the town of Norton, and really it probably should come from you folks, which would be, here's the Industrial Development Commission. Here's a list of our great companies. This is what Wheaton College is doing down the Science Center. This is how we can integrate, they're looking for internships or things like that, how we can help out. So anything that we can do marketability with your assistance, I think only makes it much more attractive when we're talking to the real estate community.
Yeah, and I think the last time that we've seen anything from that, I actually have it with me. Let me take a quick peek, because I want to say it's from like 2 or 3 years ago. Surprisingly, I have it with me.
Okay.
Um,
So we'll get you our
yeah, from
brochures.
2017.
This, The Blue Star Business Park has its own website, so anybody can access it that's on there, but we'll send you everything that we have for marketing material, sites, everything else. So you should always have an inventory of what's available.
That's great.
And when
We
we get
struggle
a
with that, so
mass,
that'll be nice to
when we get
have
a
a
mass,
reference point.
good. And then give it some thought on the liquor store. That's a discussion that we'd like to pursue, and if we are going to pursue, we're going to need your support.
Okay, and that's somebody
Okay.
who recently contacted you?
Yes, they
Jeff?
have signed a letter of intent subject to permits. That is, yes, they have signed a letter of intent subject to permits. They need permits in order to come in.
And license.
So. And like, yes, the
Okay.
license is most important. Okay,
Right. Okay, no, that sounds great. Any questions
delay.
before Jeff heads out? I know, I'm sorry. Honestly, we haven't, I mean, this is probably our fifth or sixth meeting and we haven't had a delay, so I don't know why it's hiccuping right now.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Okay,
thank you, Jeff,
thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate the information, and once you send that to me, I'll get it out to the group.
All right, will do. Thanks. Bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
have a
Jeff.
great night. Bye-bye. Okay, that was, I've never seen a delay like that. Is it
I
still
wonder if
delayed?
Your
do
end,
you think
Renee.
it's still delayed now? Do you think it was his computer?
I don't
think
know.
it might
When I
be
say the number
Renee's.
1, raise your hand. You think it's mine?
Well,
You know what I'm wondering?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, how about this? 1.
Hold on,
Okay,
let me
there's
I'm putting
a
my camera on.
6-second
Do it again.
delay.
Because on my screen, everybody
I said
else is
1.
live, but Renee, yours is it's frozen.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, let me
Laura, you're
go
frozen.
and I'm wondering if it's the recording too. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to go into Zoom and,
Why don't
and
we,
see if that other meeting is in there. Let me try to get. Go ahead, Laura.
I was just wondering if we tried to all dial
Laura?
back in again. It just started over.
I'm fine with that. Let's keep on the line for 1 second though. Let me see if I can delete the other recording first so that you guys aren't stuck waiting for me to do that. And then that way I'm just wondering if there's something, because we're recording to the cloud and it's slowing us down because of the extra stuff. So can you give me just 1 second to do that? Okay, I'm going to say 1 again. 1. Okay, it's a little less. Okay, why don't we disconnect and rejoin the same meeting? If it doesn't, the only thing I'm concerned with is if we shut it, are we going to be able to reopen it?
You should be able to. You should be able to restart it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, we are back a couple minutes later. And it seems like the delay is gone, so I apologize if it was me. Or maybe it's just because I
Renee, I
removed
have a
that one
question.
recording. Shoot.
So for the purpose of taking notes, do I note that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then we're
resume
back.
at 7:09. All right.
Yes. And Peter's with us now. Hi, Peter.
Hi, I just got back from the Water Sewer Commission meeting.
What's going on, Peter?
Well, good, everyone, and we're doing a good job. Wash your hands, staying safe, staying positive. Hopefully, we're going to get back to normal around May or June, and hopefully with a lot of treatments and a lot of vaccines, and it's going to be all good, and we're going to be back to normal May just so I can resume my busy lifestyle.
That's what we all hope.
Right.
Okay, so any discussion on the conversation that we had with Jeff?
I just wanted to let you know their website is awesome. They've got, so everything he showed today, you can pull off of their website directly. They've got the various sites. They've got the marketing sheets. They've got layouts. They've got the actual plans. So you can see elevation and easements and how far each site is from one another. Lots of very good information. So pretty much anything anybody would need, you should be able to find on their website.
Is that for the Norton Commerce Center too?
Both, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Sorry,
Is
Anthony.
it on the Condyne site? They're both on the
Yes.
Condyne site? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So you can look at their projects, and everything he showed tonight was out there on the website. So, and there's a similar to the one that Gator Investments did for their property. There's kind of theirs is about 4 pages because it's got a little bit more detail as opposed on with regards to what phase it's in, when it's going to be open, that sort of thing.
You mean the Condyne site has more detail? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, so the blue, like if
Okay.
you look at the Blue Star marketing sheet, like the Gator Investments one is 2 pages. The Blue Star one goes on for 4 or 5. It's got a lot more detail in it.
Okay. So I
Renee.
think that's good. I think Laura, you want to shoot that? I know some people aren't on the call right now. Can you shoot that out to the group, the website
Sure.
at least, and then at least everybody will have it. Sorry, Anthony.
No, you're fine. You mentioned a couple minutes ago that you had that 2017 report. Was that the report of like the different statistics from the town, or what was that in reference to?
So Mike had given us, when like the IDC kind of was resurrected, a couple of different things. One is there's a, well, I have one from 2013 that talks about like the municipal perspective. I don't know, I have it in paper form. I'll try to get it in electronic because this is probably something that we can like revitalize. But
Yeah,
it has some good
My idea
information.
is that we add it to the business guide that we developed a couple months ago.
Yeah, like it has like the statistics, sorry,
Yep.
statistics page, and then it has like what Norton has to offer, you know, and it's all about location really that's on there.
Right.
So I have my original IDC file with me. It's the one that I carry around most times, so it was there. And then I also have, he presented, I don't know if he presented or just provided this for the Tri-Town Chamber of Commerce in 2017. It's like a municipal profile and available space within Norton. So very similar, it looks a little different. Like it has the population tax rate. It's funny, it went from like 14 to 15 in that small period of time. But it has a bunch of other pages too that we could probably, I'll see if I can get it in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
This one looks like it was announcing El Nilam coming in. Let's see what
And
else
who
it has.
developed or who created that packet?
Mike Units, the town manager. It shows like New England ice cream. So I think it was really just about what's the economic development that we had recently.
Right.
There's also some
So-
stuff on the planning board website.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw some of that.
Some of that, yeah. I mean, I know that Tabitha had put a lot of stuff up there. I think Paul added to it in the last one since he's been there too.
Okay.
So
Because I shot Paul an email a couple weeks ago, but he hasn't responded. Because I was trying to develop more of the statistical stuff onto the business guide, but since we have that too, that would be a great reference.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we had like a nice little brochure, right, to print out, send,
Right.
do all that. And I know that's what you've been working on. You want to shoot him another note, and then just to make sure he actually got it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we had, in addition to updating the information, I liked the questions that he was asking about our relationships with like Wheaton College, like where is there room for internships and stuff like that.
Right.
And also if there's someone that maybe has, if there's someone we could tap that maybe has some marketing experience, even like layout and order of like somehow there's probably a better way we can kind of lay that out so it makes more sense from a marketing perspective, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have somebody that can do that.
Is there anybody that would like to reach out to Wheaton to have conversations? I've had some conversations on internships with some folks, but
Renee, I can reach out to the president. We have a pretty good relationship from a couple of years ago, back when I was in middle school and then high school. So.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, obviously it's a little different now, right? Like there aren't students here, but you know, see what some of the options are. And I mean, even in general, I talked to one of the VPs of student affairs about internships, like for the municipality. So if you want to ask them about that and just like, let's just see where there are opportunities to really be better partners.
Yeah.
You know, and they may have some ideas too, like if they have any sort of a student feedback where the students have been like, you know, it'd be nice to have this in the area, you know, something that would
That's
even
actually a
make the
good
school
idea.
more attractive,
Right.
something other than like Wendell's.
Yeah, and even
And
some
CBS.
even
Yeah.
some just like listing like where they've helped out
Oh, give it-
around the town in the past, because they've already done a lot of, I know, volunteer work at least. I don't know about internships, but I know for sure they've done a lot of volunteer work around town.
Yeah, that would certainly be nice to know. No, I think that's great. I mean, like, you know, when Jeff first reached out, I think it's certainly, I mean, it's kind of like Gator, right? Like our initial conversations with Gator in respect to marijuana establishments was like, no, 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 no. The folks who had reached out to Condyne before, that was the response that they got too. So I don't know who from Condyne they spoke with. So I think now, you know, there's an opportunity for us to bridge that gap as well. So I can plan to do the outreach to folks again, and just saying, hey, you know, here are some potential opportunities. I can grab that that diagram for building 2 and 3, and then additionally the Norton Commerce one. Like I don't know if he has something that doesn't show a building on there too, and then or just maybe I'll link to it and say, you know, it's undeveloped. What do you say? One's 4 acres, one's 5 acres and 6 acre lots. And I got to tell you, I didn't know, and it's surprising, right? Because we've had a lot of conversation about utilities. So when he said that it was full utilities, I was pretty surprised. You know, because
I was sort of surprised with regards to them having sewer. He mentioned brewery, and the first thing I thought of was Bog Iron. Maybe the space is too big, but I would find it hard to believe that Rob hadn't reached out to him.
You mean Brian?
Yeah, I know Brian had looked at
Yeah.
it. I don't remember the reason why it wasn't a good fit, but you might be right, Laura. It might have been just too big.
Yeah.
To go on like a 4 acre lot, you mean, Denise?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't remember either.
I think he was looking for 3 acres because he was going to do a outside, what do you call those?
And it might have been location too, because he is looking to be more visible. So
Yeah.
the main roads and stuff, right?
I think he was
Yeah.
looking more to buy as opposed to lease as well.
Mm. Yeah,
I think that was his preference. I think he was contemplating leasing, but
you're right. So those lots are only available for lease, not for purchase.
I
Which is
believe
why
so.
Horizon Beverage was striking out there. They want to buy and build.
I had in my notes that they want that, I swore I had in my notes that they wanted to take an existing building.
No, that was Casco. Casco was existing preferred, Horizon would build preferred, and they both wanted to buy.
So my husband is chiming in and saying that it was because he wanted to purchase, not lease.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff.
Who's the high-end liquor store?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. We didn't ask, and I mean, honestly, like we need to talk about that, right? But let me, I did find my notes and it says they want to buy. I actually don't, so Casco's the only one, but they wanted to buy and build, right? Like there aren't many that want to lease.
The only ones, Dunkin' Donuts had no preference over buy or lease, and Solar Therapeutics had no preference. Everybody else wanted to buy. And I have a feeling it was because of then they didn't have to deal with any debt covenants or mortgage restrictions.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what I can do? I mean, either way, we have some additional information, so I can send it out and they can have conversations with Jeff. I mean, I wonder if they can't, like, could they sell? I mean, I can't imagine if they couldn't sell. Like, these are properties that are just sitting there vacant.
I think there's probably more money in it to lease.
Well, if you get something on there, if you don't, then there's no money.
Yeah, you'd have to, I mean, imagine the work in subdividing and
What is a debt covenant?
so a lot of the companies, they'll have some sort of financing arrangement. Could be a bank, could be private financing, hedge funds, private equity, yeah, something along those lines. They will have a list of warranties and covenants that they need to work within in order to maintain their financing. And in some cases, it may say something specifically related to you can't do marijuana. It could be something, you can't open a trampoline park, more because of liability issues. So it could be restrictions for any number of different things, but a lot of them will have things that are not legal on the federal level, on the country level. So
Okay.
in this case, marijuana is only legal in Massachusetts. Federally, it's not.
Okay.
So it's probably something as basic as that, you know, it has to be legal.
Thanks.
Sure.
So I thought it was interesting that he, you know, he was circling Wayfair there because the last I heard on Wayfair was that they backed out because the permits weren't coming fast enough.
Oh.
So I thought that was interesting that he said that. That's why I asked specifically if they were building 5, because that's the one
Permits
that's
from,
permits from the town because of, you know, what the steps that they had to go through for conservation. So it was, I think in several different arenas and conversations, they said that you know, a proposed tenant had backed out because of the length of time. So I just found it interesting.
Hmm.
But that is, I don't know if you guys have been around there. That building it's going up fast.
I did a drive-by 2 or 3 weeks ago, and building 5, there was one wall up, but it was a monstrosity of a wall. I mean, it belongs in Game of Thrones. It was very impressive. I could not figure out like how it was just there freestanding. It had these supports to it, but it looked weird.
It looks like a real building now. Like
Does it?
amazing.
Yeah.
There was one wall.
You drive by, and every time you drive by, it's amazing how much it's changed and how quickly
Wow.
it's gone up.
Yeah, it's fast.
I've gone by a few times and you can see the whole structure of the first building, and then you can see the start of even the second building, that the frame of it starting to go up as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Anthony, I don't know what view you're on. Can you just note that Michael just joined?
Got it.
Michael Tool. Thank you.
Oh, since Michael joined, do you mind if I bag out?
Oh, you could have. We had quorum without you. But sure, unless you want to talk about the overlay real quick, the public hearing or anything else.
If there's anything that you think that it's important that I chime in on, then I'll stay on for that.
No, I think we're going to just talk about some of the comments that were made at the public hearing. Well, you know what? You want to hang on for the liquor license?
Sure.
So, Joe brought that up at the public hearing. If you guys didn't see the Board of Selectmen meeting, we talked about it because obviously all the liquor licenses have to come through the selectmen. And what Mike Units had proposed is because of the difficulty in getting another license, the proposal was to actually seek 2 licenses. Now, my understanding was that the license for cannabis for a retailer is based on the package store license, right? Not the full liquor license. However, when we were at the public hearing and Joe said, no, like liquor license is liquor license. Like so now we're at 9. If we went to 11, right, that would take our 20% up, right? From 2 to 3. And I know, he's voiced on 2 different occasions how we actually come up with that, or us representing it from a percentage perspective, right? Just to being aligned to the state. So I have a note on what's going back to town council for the bylaw to understand it. And then the question also to Mike, because if it's all the liquor licenses combined that does it versus what I've been told that it's only the package stores, then I just want to understand that, because obviously 2 licenses are going to impact this project very differently. You heard it on, I can tell you, like the public hearing, somebody said, okay, 2 licenses are fine. Don't really think that we need more. You guys have said the same thing. I've said differently. On a couple of the phone calls that Denise and I have had, it's been the same thing. Like they feel like 2 is okay. I've had one phone call where they're like, 3 would be fine. But I think if, because we have these tied, right, we need to think about either a discussion with the Board of Selectmen on the implications of going with 2 additional licenses versus changing the bylaw. Right, and if we wanted just to limit it to 2 and be specific to say we're limiting it to 2, but what we have to watch is that if we go to more licenses in the state, then we have a legal problem. So if Norton ends up with 11 licenses and we have a bylaw that says 2, we've now not met the minimum requirement that the state has, and then we have an issue. And in order for us to go less than what the state requires, it has to be voted on at town meeting and at an election.
I think that was one of the reasons why, one of the arguments for staying with the percentage, right? Staying with 20%, that's the minimum. I think if it goes up to 3 for whatever reason, I think we're keeping with the language of the state. And so that's why I would disagree with what Joe was saying about, tying it to population and making it, a sort of a different calculation. To me, I think if we're, the reason I thought 2 was fine was not so much the 2, it's the 20%. It's the conservative, it's the least we can have. So we're still sticking with the least we can have. Whether that's 2 or 3, the 20% is the part that I think was key.
So I'm sorry, Renee, just for a point of clarification. So right now it's tied to our liquor licenses, correct? The number of licenses tied to the number of liquor licenses we have, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And is that full liquor license? It's just number of alcohol-based licenses, correct?
So everybody's always referred to it as package store licenses to me. So
That's
not a
liquor.
full liquor license.
That's a liquor store.
Is it a liquor?
Package is full liquor, beer and wine is not. So a package is a full liquor store.
But then the number 9, I don't think is right, because on that same call, I believe Bob is the one that said we have 3 or 4.
Correct.
But Mike told us initially we had 9.
That's total, that when they group them together, the liquor licenses are into 2 categories.
So I pulled up the reference on the Mass General Law, and it has one section that said full liquor license, and the next one said beer and wine. The MGL together includes both. Like it just said a town can have these. It didn't differentiate. So like I said, and I mean, we can pull it up now. I put the question in there for the bylaw for town council because I just want clarification instead of speculation, essentially,
Yeah.
on do we have 9? Do we have 4? Because we were told 9.
Do we
So-
have, do
So
we
is your, go ahead.
do we have stores that just sell beer and wine?
Yeah, several.
Yeah.
We
So
have
Troy,
probably,
the one-
we have more of those. We have more of those than full package licenses. We only have like 4 to 5 package licenses.
Which ones only do beer and wine?
You got
Brothers.
Roach Brothers. You have Pit Stop, Quick Stop. You've got
Cozy,
the
which is going to Speedway.
right. So there's several. Yeah, there are a couple others.
Probably the closest is, I think the closest to you, Sandy, just if you're interested, I think it's the one over by PBK, right? Is that a,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a full, that's just a beer.
That's
and
not a
wine.
liquor site. That's a beer and wine.
So just
Oh,
for reference.
Cricket Corner or something?
I don't know what it's
Trust
called.
me, I've been trying to get a liquor license in this town for like ever, and I got beat out by Michelle.
So let me ask you, Renee, is your concern that we're going to have too few and only really have one if we say 20% and it only is package stores? Is that the concern?
No. My concern is that we put in this 20%, assuming it's 2, right? And then the selectmen go and vote for 2 more, which now takes us to 11, and it becomes 3.
So I'm okay with it growing as the number of package stores grows. I mean, I think that's the point of the 20% is you don't have to keep revisiting it every time you want to add one, right? It's just going to grow based on the number of package stores on its own. I'd rather keep it a percentage than put in a specific amount there. And
No,
risk.
I'm fine with that too, but we need to understand in talking that now we've been talking about that would limit us to 2, that can very quickly change to 3, right? And I just want to make sure that we're transparent to people to say this is how, like, this is the minimum, but there are things going on where we may have 3.
Right. So I mean, just when the people ask that question, you just say today the number of stores would be 2, but that can grow as the number of liquor
Yeah.
stores grows. Like I wouldn't necessarily say like we might get 2 more licenses, then it could become 3 very shortly. Like I wouldn't get into that level of detail, but just say it's 20% liquor stores, and today that equals 2.
But it could be 3 if we increase there. I mean, I don't want to.
Right, but don't talk about the if we do this, it might be this, because it's gonna get them spooked for no.
It's already there, though. I mean, that's what Joe brought up at the public hearing, right? He brought up the fact that the selectmen had talked about adding 2 more licenses. Michael, you're muted.
You're
You're
trying
talking
to
to
talk,
us.
but we can't hear you.
Nope, still muted.
Now he's really muted.
I have no. I
Ah,
mean, you
you're
guys
back.
can't hear me.
You're
Okay.
back.
Just so you know, if the town can also spot a liquor license. So an example would be, you know, that core area that they're trying to get approved. If the town thought that was going to be a special area that they wanted a liquor license, they can approach the ABC and get a spot license outside of the percentage to grow in that town. So let's just understand that too, because we may have right now where everyone's all about focused in town. Does that tie in here? Like if we spot focus and say in that core, in that village core area, we want a liquor store. Does that then increase outside of the population, the normal ABC allowance?
I would say yes, because it's a license within the town of Norton.
Yeah. So,
I mean, and again, I'm not the attorney, like we'd have to ask town council, but
I don't think people are going to walk away if it's 2 versus 3. I think people are either against it altogether or they're okay with it.
hey, that's
I
what
don't
I've
think-
been saying, but you guys have been saying the opposite.
Right, but I think we should take the percentage and the conservative approach, but I don't necessarily think they're going to walk away if it becomes 3.
Right, because now we have a liquor license or 2 potentially.
I'm
in play.
also of the opinion that if we've got 2 retail establishments already, this town is going to be less desirable to a third.
Yeah.
Who has
Right,
an interest.
agreed.
Maybe. I mean, I figured with 9 other liquor stores that not another liquor store would want to come in either.
Have
Right.
any of you come across a dissent on marijuana?
Just one
mean-
guy on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, we saw one angry face on Facebook too. And, you know, I shot a message say, hey, I'm just trying to get some understanding what your thoughts are here. No response, but
No, just NIMBYs. Even if they've got an issue with the proposed location, it's always been based on location, not on the subject.
concept.
Yeah.
I had one conversation who, it was, I don't really want to see it in the town, but I get that it's here, and the fact that, it's coming, like, I'm not, the statement was, I'm not going to oppose it because it is coming, but I don't necessarily want it here because of the influence on like teens and stuff like that. So we had a little bit of that conversation as well, in respect to that really when retail shops are put in, it doesn't increase teen usage. There are studies that actually show the opposite. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
feel like the folks across from Roach Brothers, I think, had a similar kind of take on it, where they weren't necessarily liking the fact that marijuana was going to come, but they also understood that it's an important business for the town to consider.
mm-hmm. And they were also, to our conversation that Denise and I had too, they thought that the town of Norton had some say in who came in, because they said, the town really needs to say like who goes in there and get these stores to come in. And we're like, we have no say. Like, not only do we have no say, but we've done outreach, like people don't want to come. And we really talked about, they also thought that from a Gator Investments side, right, that it was the rumor mill, right? Like they want too much for the rent. And, we talked and we said, no, like there was no negotiation. I mean, they said they wanted out, they went to other places. And so we talked about the fact that unless we bring, commercial and retail in there where people want to come, like we're not going to have another grocery store in there because the numbers aren't where they need to be. So that, and I think too, like Denise said, I got the impression as well. And maybe even a comment was made on one of those calls about the type of people who go there. And I wrote a note down, and I don't remember exactly what part of the conversation, but I wanted to email them some pictures, right, of different places, because I think they're thinking of it like, like a crappy liquor store, and you have people hanging out outside, getting wasted and doing things like that. So again, right, our whole charge here has been information, awareness, education, and I think that's part of it. But I did get the impression it was a lot of, it's bad for it to come here.
Can I go back to the liquor, the extra
Yes.
liquor? No, we already have an extra one right now, right? Beyond what the state. So we were supposed to have 8, we now have 9.
Yes.
And have we denied, have people tried to get liquor licenses and we've said, no, we're at 9, we're maxed?
I think up until this person and maybe Michael.
So we've never tried to help another person get an extra.
So when I reached out to the ABC, they said the town's at its limit, and the only way that you could open it up would be with special selectmen approval.
And did you ever try to get that, or has anybody else ever tried to get that?
It would have to be, the only way the ABC would approve it is if the town designated a certain location as an economic development area and the need for a liquor store in that location.
Is that still the case then? We have to do the same thing now?
I didn't hear anything about the specific location, especially when Mike said.
I didn't realize we were already over one liquor license. That's news to me.
Yeah, produce is got an extra one. Got the extra one.
Joe talked about it, I think, when we first presented to the planning board, right?
Yeah.
Produce Barnes got the extra liquor license?
Yeah, when they built and they had the concept of having grocery hardware, they wanted the liquor too. And so they got the extra liquor license.
It's an awesome concept.
They're underutilizing that license beyond belief. I mean, anyways.
Well, I think it's the same thing as the other people. Like, you can't force people to go to a particular liquor store.
No, it isn't about that. They're not open past 7. They're 8 o'clock. They're not. I mean, that's opinion. So.
Can you revoke a liquor license once it's been given?
Oh yeah.
But only if they,
For cause.
Yeah. We had a long discussion on that with the Speedway one.
Wait a minute, I missed that. Speedway has a liquor license?
They have a beer and wine license. They're getting the cozy beer and wine license.
Oh, like for the back fridges or whatever. I gotcha.
Yeah. The last license that was transferred was for Michelle's, for Mr. Drain, when Mr. Drain passed away. And prior to that was Norton Liquors changed owners as well.
So any other questions or concerns on that? I mean, what do you guys think, as Jeff said, I mean, what do you think about the concept of, does the IDC, do we holistically agree that we should, as a town, pursue another liquor license for the establishment that's looking to go into the Blue Star area? Thoughts?
I'm fine with it, but ultimately it's not our decision, right? It goes to the board.
No, it does, but I mean, the IDC can have a recommendation, right, based on the economic development that it can bring. Given its location, right, it's attractive right off the highway. More likely than to get other tenants to fill, this is my opinion, of course, more likely to get other tenants to fill the additional buildings that are there. I really did like that 4-building retail space he was showing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because think about it, like I go to Mansfield Crossing, I hit Wines and More, I hit Petco, I hit it's, you do go to these places to get specific, like bottles of wine or whatever.
Right.
Not going to have a negative impact on cross
Yeah,
the street.
Pitts. Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say, I'd probably kill a liquor store across the street, but I would still prefer to have a high-end liquor store. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd rather pick the high-end one.
I think Renee, I understand what you're saying. I think the need for another liquor store in Norton isn't there.
I don't either, but if someplace like a Total Wine wanted to open up, that would get my attention. That would probably drive several of the existing ones out of business very, very quickly.
I agree.
I think to your point, Mike, it would saturate the market and it would end up killing some of the businesses, but you want the one that's going to grow and be the best for the town, necessarily not all the same vanilla flavored, Listen,
Yeah,
I'm a Bud Light drinker, so I'm happy with any of them, but
I will tell you this, and I'm going to just recuse myself for the rest of the conversation, because if that is going to happen, you will hear my voice in an appeal for consideration for that license as well. So I'm going to recuse myself from
I guess
it.
that was my original point. My original question is, it seems like if others have gone before, what was the argument against it before, and now what's different?
The only way that it could get approved is if the Board of Selectmen chooses that as an economic growth area, and they have to spot approve that for a liquor license.
So did you go before the Board of Selectmen and they said no? Or did nobody take to that point? Or you or anybody?
When I spoke to, I'm not going to quote who we spoke with, there was no interest to actually bring that in front of the selectmen. And it has to actually go, from what I understand, it actually has to be zoning approved too, because it's a spot approval of a growth area.
So Sandy, I'm not aware of anybody else asking, but
this goes, by the way, just so you know, Renee, this goes well before you. This goes back to
I'm sure.
like
I'm only like a year and a couple months.
2012 is when my inquiries were.
So is that pre-existing manager, or I mean, is anybody there that you had a conversation with still there?
Yes.
But a different, obviously, selectman.
Yeah, I'll take this offline of this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask if anybody has come before to ask this. I don't know why somebody would say you can't get on an agenda. But I don't know, Sandy. I don't know the answer to that.
Unless, as the town going to approve that area, as it isn't even like a spot approving, the town has to designate a certain part of the town as a certain growth area, and has to kind of basically declare that to the ABC.
I mean, I don't know how you can say
ABCC.
that is not a growth area, right? It's a brand new development.
Yep.
Like if I didn't hear that being a requirement. I mean, it was, again, just brought up at the last meeting.
I'll shoot you the link.
The
ABCC has this well defined.
Like I said, I find it surprising because the conversation went to getting 2 licenses, right? For us approving 2 additional licenses, not just 1.
That's why I was excited about the census. I've honestly been waiting for the census because
If there's
Norton's
a
grown.
license that opens up, does it automatically go to to Condyne, to whoever they have?
I
Or
can
does
tell you
that
that,
go up for like whoever applies for it? Like, how does that even work if we have an extra license?
great
I have
question.
absolutely no idea.
I would assume that if you designate Blue Star as a economic growth area, by default, it goes to Condyne.
So is Condyne trying to develop this, or they're trying to give, who is applying for the license?
It would be this other establishment that approached them.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't be the ones that held it, but I don't know how that works. Again, like I said, I didn't hear anything about additional provisions, so to speak, in that meeting. It was, it's difficult to get one. Should we go for two? That's kind of been the advice. So I wouldn't see two liquor stores in the Blue Star area.
Many of you know me, and I usually don't shut up. I'm going to shut up.
Well, and I guess that was before you said that, Michael, that's my first thought is I know that others who maybe have tried, you're going to get pushback from anyone who's tried to get a liquor license in the past and hasn't, and now we're making this exception and we're going out of our way to get a liquor license so that we can have one moving.
Well, realistically, it should be a bidding process. If anything, it should be an application process.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Is it we're automatically just giving it to them, and that doesn't seem very equitable.
Well, no, but if they're the ones pursuing it and doing the legwork, right?
All right, well, I've just figured out it's definitely not Total Wine. Total Wine's typical store averages 25,000 square feet, and they can be as large as 50,000 square feet. So that's disappointing.
What's Total Wine? Is that like Wines and More?
It's like 17 times bigger. They've got like 50,000 SKUs of.
How big a space did they say there? I mean, those retail spaces aren't very big.
5,000 to 6,000 square feet.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
What's somebody give me like size? Is that like the Wines and More now in Mansfield? Is that like
No,
5,000
it's
to
much
6,000?
bigger. Triple Wines and More.
Okay.
Well, that
So-
building 2 must have been bigger though, because they were going to put a hotel there.
Hang on. Building 2 is 14.4 thousand square feet.
Gotcha.
So where is he putting this? In one of the 4,000 spot retail spaces, right?
He's putting it in Building 1. Building 1 is 10,900 square feet, but he said he was subdividing it, and he said the liquor store was taking 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. Even like a Yankee Spirits, I think, is probably Yankee Spirits is probably even bigger than this.
So I mean, and if that's fairly small, and if they're trying to specialize in high-end liquors, it may not actually conflict that much with the liquor store across the street, right? Like if they kept all the basic stuff out and just focused on the stuff that's hard to find.
The specialty stuff, yeah, like the
Yeah.
old Scotch, old wines.
Right.
I haven't really seen a liquor store. It doesn't though carry Bud Light.
Right, because that's probably
mean,
the biggest seller of every. Even though people are getting more into like some of the more specialty craft beers and stuff, but Bud Light still is the biggest seller. I support them.
Alcohol. I support him.
Meh.
Okay, your options are a high-end alcohol, so A, a high-end alcohol, or B, hey.
Is there a C, all of the above?
I mean, I guess is there serious opposition? If not, and we can go and say we don't really have a collective recommendation.
You're
like I
talking
said-
you're talking about for the 2 though, not for the 1, right?
I mean, I was just in general for the 1. We can talk about the 2.
I mean, I'm fine with yes for a 1 or the 2.
For either, you mean?
So is this on your agenda for the selectmen, Renee?
Oh,
I don't know. I'd have to look.
I haven't seen your agenda yet.
I haven't seen either. No, I'm assuming it's posted.
It's got to be posted, although I didn't get a.
It is posted. That's where I got the number from, but I closed the link, so I gotta look it up again.
It's weird.
A
I wonder if
phone
it went to
number?
junk.
The what?
The Zoom number.
For the selectmen's meeting?
No, to get the Zoom number for this meeting. Oh, you're asking
oh,
if you're asking if it's on the selectmen's meeting. Sorry.
yes.
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 Apologies.
No, it is, I'm gonna pull it up right now. No, this is part of our Condyne and business conversation, new businesses. I see a Blue Star Business Park on here under Town Manager's Report, so there could be some discussion under that.
Okay.
I don't see specific approval of a liquor license, which I wouldn't guess we would because we asked Mike to come back with some information. So from our perspective, any opposition to one additional license from an economic development perspective?
Other than saturation, no. But
What if we change that to 2? Are we then more concerned?
yeah, but it's the same issue.
Anyone else? Michael, you've said that you are not in favor of either.
I can't say I'm not in favor of a liquor license.
Are you saying that you recuse yourself because of potential personal interest? Okay. Anthony? Any
4-1
opinion?
against 2.
What?
4-1, but against 2.
I feel like I want to start a bingo, or not a bingo board, what are those boards called?
Connect 4?
No, but I do have that,
Oh.
actually. Sandy, any particular?
I'm not against the concept. I'm just curious about the process and procedure and whether it's equitable or whether we're doing something special for.
That I would be more interested in hearing.
Okay. I hear crickets somewhere. Does somebody have a window open?
I got my
Sandy
door
said-
open, but yeah, that would be me.
Sandy, unmute for a second. I don't think it's you, Michael. I think it's Sandy.
I don't hear any crickets.
I hear what you're hearing, but it's not crickets. It's
Like feedback?
yeah, like just a very slight tinny feedback in the mic.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so not taking an official vote, but just asking for opinions, and I can share those opinions if we talk about it. Okay, so that was part of the public hearing too, right? The liquor license. Let me see what else came up. I asked Lucia to post the revised bylaw that Denise had provided, since there's a, oh, I just clicked on the wrong thing. Since there was a chance that we were going to talk about it. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I have to get back to the document. So a couple of things on this. The other hot topic was in respect to the odor mitigation. You know, the information that we got from Bellingham, I think is, I mean, I didn't see anything like that stood out to say, oh, we definitely need this. I personally didn't see anything that said that what we had between the HCA and the bylaw wasn't sufficient. But you know, it was discussed at the public hearing, and so I want to put it back out to the group on whether or not we think that there's any additional information or text that we can provide in either the HCA or the bylaw to account for the odor mitigation, and if we need to.
I mean, I think it's adequately addressed. I think the issue that Oren was trying to bring up was that policing it is hard. We have it in the bylaw, we have it in the host agreement, and we can go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm. So should
So
should
sorry
we?
about that.
What?
And we sorry, and we can go and talk to them about what mitigation efforts they should be doing.
You're gonna make us all laugh just by laughing too.
Oh my
Is that
God,
Jeff in the background?
Jeff is killing me. Um, but I think he's looking for more in the way of policing it, and I don't know what legally we can do to make that I guess fair for the party that has the building, but also kind of get to what Oren's trying to address.
Mhm.
Because you certainly don't want to like say like they're going to lose their license or something if they get 10 complaints for smell, because you get 1 or 2 pesky persistent neighbors, and that's done in 2 months. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what's written in there right now in the HDA is that it comes from different, like if I think it says 2 or more residents, I believe. I mean, this is what's listed in Bellingham. It says it says the applicant proposes to complete. It just says this involves the emission of odorous gases. The applicant, I lost the place, proposes to complete this through industry best practices in building filtration systems as designed in the project proposal. However, due to unknown circumstances and potentially unforeseen odorous impacts, in order to assure that emissions shall not be in such quantities that are offensive to abutting properties, the applicant shall provide an independent assessment 3 months after the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the facility. It should include an independent air quality report identifying type and location of any potential odorous emissions, which could be discharged to the ambient air. The report has to include an action plan to remediate the emissions. And then it says the report shall be provided to planning board for review 4 months from the date of occupancy. And this is all in the decision. Like this is based within the decision. It's not.
Right, and I mean, I think we already have a lot of stuff that adequately addresses it. That just is getting more specific and drilling down, maybe some more specific details, but I don't know that necessarily is going to give you a better picture or any kind of, better ability to enforce it like what Oren was looking for. At least that was Oren's point anyway.
I mean, and within the same thing, they listed failure to comply with the condition shall be considered a violation of the zoning bylaw, air quality, and may result in a fine, zoning enforcement action, or any other remedy available to the town. Each date such violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. Ongoing monitoring report shall be submitted annually. Right, so they kind of put it right in there. I don't know if our planning board can't do that, or if they had something, and and I haven't seen it, something in the bylaw that gave them the ability. But I think in the decision that they can pretty much put anything in there.
So, but that would be a separate bylaw, like just like we've had the noise ordinance issue several times come up, right? There should be a noise ordinance bylaw that's separate from everything else that talks about if there are financial implications if they violate the noise ordinance, and what it means to violate the noise ordinance, and the frequency, all that kind of stuff. And we don't have that, but it shouldn't be built into this bylaw for the marijuana. It should be a separate bylaw.
Right, and we do cover 2 nuisances, right? We covered that within ours as well. So, okay. I mean, and anyone else have any thought? I looked at it, and again, nothing jumped out at me to say we need to do changes. And, as I said, at the public hearing, I felt that it was adequately covered as well. But I want to bring it back to the group.
Yeah, those specifics seem to be more based on a special permit because it seems to be dependent on where it's located and what's surrounding it, and what types of controls they put in seems to be location based. So I would think that would be the special permit that would address that.
Okay. Anyone else thoughts? As is? Okay. So Anthony, if you could just record that we revisited that. The other thing that was brought up too, hold on 1 second. If anybody remembers, feel free to blurt it out. It's escaping me right now for some reason.
Most of it was site specific. We got quite a bit of history
We did.
on the zoning of the town.
I did have a question on a couple of the concerns that were brought up about the areas where the overlay was that were residential.
Yes.
I was curious as to like what our, so I think I felt like we were being a little contradictory in saying we took out certain areas that were residential, we felt didn't meet the character. But then when people brought that up and said that their area didn't meet that character, we hadn't taken those out. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like
Yep.
we should at least do our due diligence and revisit those
So
parcels.
I think part of it is we're talking about it incorrectly. We didn't want them driving through residential areas, but we never, I don't think, said that it couldn't be next to residences. If that's the case, then we're going to have almost no land.
Right. I think what she's referring to, and I've said this the whole time, right? Like we looked at what was industrial and where it didn't fit. And Reed and Barton is a perfect example. It is surrounded. It is dead center in the middle of a residential area, and we
But that's
took it
not-
out because of that.
No, we took it out because it didn't have an exit or an entrance onto a main road being 123.
But we also took
You
out,
have to drive through a residential area to get to it.
we also took out an area, Winslow Farm, by that area. We took
Right.
that out. So there were definitely a couple areas that were
Right. And
that had access to a main road that we took out because we felt that the character of it was more of a neighborhood.
so the Winslow Farm one, if you remember, was like a sliver of land that was wrapped around a residential location. So it wasn't like it was like a big chunk of commercial or industrial property. It was like a sliver that was wrapped around residential land.
It was a sliver behind Winslow Farms, and then it was 3 parcels to the left of it that are houses.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think it was also, there wasn't access to 123 or 140 from them either,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken.
There
think-
was definitely parcels that had 140 access that we still took out. And I guess, again, my point is that
Where?
people to say, that we've driven by these places, I just feel like we were a little quick to dismiss them. And we haven't really looked at them. We haven't given them the consideration that we gave some of the other parcels where we really looked into where they were and what was around them.
Yep. So I think we actually did. I think Laura, our premier drive-by person, took a look. And Laura, I know that you have some information to share if you'd like to pull that up now. And I was going to try to get there today and I didn't have a chance to do it. So certainly not looking to, make an official stance tonight if nobody's comfortable with it, if everybody wants an opportunity to drive by. But I was hoping to get to it before tonight's meeting, but I haven't had time.
Okay, so this is just addressing one specific. We've had a couple of, I think, 2 requests to look at the area, the industrial area near Power Street on South Worcester. If I'm not mistaken, Renee.
Yes, so the one was, I don't have my public hearing stuff. One was brought up during the call. Was it Danielle?
Yeah, I think
Anybody-
it was.
Okay.
It was from near the rectors, near the old rectory over
Yep.
at St. Mary's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so here it is. I do have the public hearing info. Gee, I'm sorry, guys. So Danielle Collins had brought that up as an issue. She then sent me an email, and then I have the same email from somebody, I don't know Danielle's address, but from somebody who's in the area as well, like probably a very close neighbor. I'd have to look to see where they both live.
74 Power Street was the initial address that you gave me.
Yep, I think that
Um,
came from the second one, but go ahead. I'll look
all
while
right.
you're.
So I'm going to share the screen. And I'm going to bring up I'm going to try and bring up. Can you see the screen right now? No, you're not there. Why can't I get, oh, here it is. Okay. Hang on, I'm going to move you guys over here. All right, so the call that we got, so just to give you a little background, I enhanced the overlay that Serped did, and then I focused in. So the area that's been called into question is right here. The 74 Power Street is this house right here.
Wait. Hold on, Laura. Where is the house? I missed your mouse.
It's right
Okay.
here.
Yep.
And so a couple of things to note here. So to get your landmarks, here's 123, here's North and South Worcester. JCS is here. This is where South Worcester veers off and goes down to John Scott Boulevard. This is the railroad tracks. And then Power Street comes off of South Worcester. The one thing I found when I looked at the overlay is I couldn't figure out why this parcel was industrial, and it turns out it's actually not. And this is the rectory site that was actually in question as to whether people felt it was appropriate that the overlay abut the rectory. The rectory looks like a normal old house. The only thing identifying it is something different is there's a small sign out front, and it's probably 8 by 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's no longer the rectory, if I'm not mistaken, is it?
I don't know. The parking lot was
I don't-
completely empty. It's got a very
Yeah.
large parking lot next to it, but it was empty. It
Yeah.
did not look like it was being occupied, and given the fact that we have a stay-at-home order, if there were people living there, I would have expected cars in that parking lot. And
Yeah,
there were
I
none.
Yeah.
I know the church definitely moved, but I didn't know if the rectory moved. Not that I'm aware of, but.
Yep.
But so is that? I was wondering the same thing. I looked at this map on the left. So that's actually zoned residential, that one lot?
Yes. So
Which
right.
explains why it's not in that wouldn't have been an address because we wouldn't have seen it as
Well,
industrial.
that's why I
right?
couldn't figure out is why was this excluded from our overlay? And when I went to, I said I was fairly certain the last time I had looked that this was residential, and it is in fact residential. So
Okay.
we should probably get that updated by SERPED so it doesn't look
Yeah.
like we specifically excluded it
Right.
by point. So I did a drive-by. So just to give you, this is the aerial view. This is South Worcester. These are the railroad tracks here. And you can see most of this area is in fact residential. There's a church here right when you turn the corner. The only difference being you've got this very large industrial complex, CPS Technologies. Now, CPS Technologies, interestingly, owns that lot here. The same owners actually own this lot here, and this was bought about 5 years after they bought this lot. So it looks like it was bought with the intent to expand. So CPS owns this and this. So they would own, so right now they currently own all of this heading down here, as well as almost all of this over here. So this area. So this is a close-up of aerial view of that same area. This is CPS Technologies. There are 4 houses, and this is where the rectory is. And remember, I was telling you about the parking lot. So here's that parking lot. Interestingly enough, this house are excluded from the industrial zone for reasons I have no idea why. This house and this house are in the industrial zone. This is residential.
Well, according to your map, those first 2 houses were zoned residential, so they must have at some point gone to planning and had those areas rezoned, right? So
Yes,
that-
but what
Is
I don't,
anyone
looks like
getting
they're
the
split.
sense that maybe this is wrong? That the zoning is wrong, and it's kind of like what
found
what
over on Wheaton.
yeah, like what Greg
On
was talking
Reservoir?
about. Yep.
I mean, it's certainly worth having Paul check out, but my guess by looking at this is it was all one time. That whole triangle was purple, and those houses went and had their, because it's non-conforming use to put houses in industrial, they went and had those lots changed to residential to put those houses on it.
Can
And
a resident do that?
why not? Anyone can petition to get the zoning changed.
But it would have
I
had
mean,
to go,
they went into town meeting though.
yeah.
Right, we would have gone to town meeting to get voted on, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Laura, can you go back for a second to that previous one? Can you just nope, not that one. The far out zoom. Where's the rectory on this? Can you just find
Yep.
it with your okay
Right
right there?
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
thank
that's
you.
the parking lot. That's the building next to the parking lot.
Okay.
So
All right.
so my thoughts
here's
on
a
this.
close-up of it.
My thoughts on this is we're talking about excluding this for the marijuana businesses. It's zoned industrial. Tomorrow, a chemical manufacturing company could go in there. How is that better?
Well, so let's go back to our initial discussion, right? We said main road. Now, while we've talked about 123 and 140, we mean main, like main, you know, that you're not going through residential area. But I got to tell you, I'm looking at this, and aside from the technologies place, is there any, Laura, can you go back to the railroad view? Is there any access from the south? I'm going to say south. I don't know if it's south, but the bottom part, you were there and then it moved again, Laura. I'm sorry. The actual overlay. Can you look at that? So at the bottom of the circle where the railroad tracks are, they're not highlighted in purple. Is there any access into the facility from that area, from that south part area?
Well, you can't access from the railroad tracks.
Right. So then,
You would
so
need
going, go ahead, Nora.
you would need
Sorry.
an easement from the I don't know who owns the actual tracks, but it is generally a rail company. They're not going to grant you easements along tracks. They will allow you a siding. So this whole area was probably zoned industrial because it had railroad access and there was a railroad siding available to it, meaning they could get delivery by rail.
Well, those two
But
parcels,
look,
Wait,
Those-
Sandy
sorry,
first.
Cindy.
those two parcels are owned by the same company. So my guess is if you're ever going to build anything there, they're going to merge the properties, right? And so you're going to access from one property into the other.
Yes.
Okay, so if we look at it now with the right zoning, right, with the rectory actually being residential, that property 322, there is no access from the main road from South Worcester. There's no access from the other side, so I don't think it meets our criteria to be in there.
Which property?
The long, yes, that one right there.
Okay, well, except for the fact that CPS Technology owns it, and if they wanted to subdivide and sell it and grant easement to a warehouse, they have every right to.
But again, like, right, we're basing that on something changing, but I still go back to it, like, if I'm looking at this, I mean, it is South Worcester, but it's, when you showed that the close-up, Laura, like, I get the sense that that's a residential area with the exception of, and you know, probably what happened is somebody grabbed because they wanted this CPS Technologies to go there. They found this nice piece of land and that got kind of like Reed and Barton, that got zoned itself because of one particular applicant who was interested.
I think
think
it is
that's-
zoned industrial solely because it has access to rail. And that
So-
is a perfect definition of an industrial area, access
Yeah.
to rail.
So let me ask you this. Say it wasn't on the overlay. It's still approved to be placed for consideration anyways.
Well, not unless,
Because
no, because we
it's
can exclude it.
industrial.
No,
It doesn't matter.
if
We
it's
took
not in the
industrial
overlay,
out.
it's out.
It's on the overlay, it's out.
Yeah,
Right.
so Reed and Barton is industrial. It is not in our overlay, so it is out. All right, so hang on, I actually went and took pictures, so this is the view. So this is a double lane road. It is a main road. There are cars going very fast on this road. I would not want to live on this road, but that's just me. So this is the view of CPS. This is looking down heading towards South Worcester. This is heading towards the other end, and Power Street is down over here. This is the view across the street so this is from standing literally in the center of CPS Technologies parking lot, took a view of what is directly across the street. It's residential. Within the houses, so these two houses are the two that are in our overlay. Initially, I thought this one was abandoned, but upon looking at it a little bit closer, I'm just wondering if it maybe just needs some work, because there is a dish on the roof and the front door does not appear to be as old as the rest of the fixtures in the house and the little flower pots back there. It's, at first glance, it looks abandoned. And it's old. This was built in like 1897, I think, according to the map. This is the second house on the overlay. And these are the two that are next to, and the final one. So this is the house next to this one. This is outside of the industrial. So this is zoned as residential. It is not zoned industrial.
Those
This
are
is-
two in the middle, kind of the overlay.
Yeah, so it's these two.
Okay.
So there were less pieces of property. I can think of one on the John Scott, on the other end of John Scott Boulevard, where we basically didn't do it because there were industrial zones, there were houses at the end, and we said, no, that's not on the overlay. This is more residential than those were. And so for me, I don't think I think we remove it. And it's not even,
I couldn't get, unfortunately, I got a phone call and I just snapped a quick picture, so I didn't get the front of this one, but
oh, okay.
that's it. So that's the presentation. So the argument that was being made was kids walk to school past that, which I did the math. That's JCS. As the crow flies from 74 Power Street, it is 9/10 of a mile. If you take the main roads, it's 1.2 miles on very busy roads to an elementary school. I find it very hard to believe anybody on Power Street is allowing their kid to walk to JCS. It is closer to the middle school, but even from this end of Power Street, it's still almost a mile to the middle school. If you get up closer to the highway on Power Street, yeah, kids could easily walk to the middle school. But, you know, the argument from 74 Power Street, which is right where my cursor is here, that kids walk to school, it's a mile to either school, and one of which is not anywhere where I would want to let my kids walk. So I kind of.
Is that one of the new houses where the church was?
Hang on, I can pull up the. Give me a second.
That was when, they subdivided the church property, and I think they built 3 houses where the church property was.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me get on my.
2 of them were on Power, and then one was
I have
on
more pictures,
Worcester.
but I didn't. So, hang on one second.
Next time I need something to investigate around my house, I'm calling you, Laura.
Sure. So
I don't
this
want her
is,
to judge my house. You see how she's a tough critic.
Well, I'm sorry. Anybody past at a cursory glance, that house looks abandoned. I'm sorry.
I wish I knew she was doing this because it would have saved me all that work.
Why, did you do this too?
Yeah, I drove out there when after the woman brought that up and checked out the area.
Oh, well, yeah, we all had the same idea. I mean, we want to look into it and be fair.
Yeah. So this is the lot that is next to, hang on, I gotta figure out how to get back into.
You're talking about the image with the white car?
Yes. So this lot is what I'm assuming was the parking lot to this building, which I'm assuming is the rectory. There is this little tiny sign here
Wait,
makes
did you-
reference.
I'm not seeing anything move on the screen, Laura. Where are you?
Can you see my cursor?
Nope.
Okay.
I still see the 4 images in a PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at a picture. Hang on.
Can anyone else see the picture?
I got the same screen as Renee.
How about now?
Nope, same screen.
Okay.
I thought maybe I was going in my 10-second delay again.
I was trying to
Okay.
open and it doesn't.
No, you're gonna have to share that particular image.
I'm trying. This is the screen that I'm sharing, but I don't know how to share this particular.
So if you launch that image and then go into your share, like up at the top, it'll
Yeah.
say like new share. You're gonna have to do new share if you didn't like select the whole screen.
Okay. How's this? How's that?
That's good.
Okay. So, this is next to the industrial zone residences. It's a concrete parking lot. There's that tiny little sign that I was talking about. And this is the building that I'm assuming used to be the rectory. And then, let's see.
74 Power is not one of the new houses. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses up on the right as you
Yeah.
go up Power Street.
It's probably, this one looks fairly new. It's right on the corner. So this is the corner of South
Okay.
Worcester and Power.
I
Yep.
see the sign.
And that's a new
Um,
house. The next one's a new house. Then you have the existing properties
Yeah.
that were there prior to the rectory
Yes.
sale. It's looks like a cape with dormers.
Yeah. So this is sitting in that parking lot that's next to the industrial that used to belong to the
Mhm.
rectory, I guess. And this is looking down Power. So it is a fairly residential area with the exception of that CPS Technologies.
So Sandy, can I ask, what were your thoughts when you drove through?
Just basically that again, that one lot, right? That one building in there, the CPS Technologies is the only one that's anything like, looks anything industrial, right? Everything else. So I kind of felt like it was the same argument they were using for Reed and Barton site.
I got to tell you, I mean, having seen it now, especially the closer up satellite image, Laura, I think the same thing. I mean, I don't know why those two houses in between are zoned the way they are. I honestly think that it was probably all residential at some point, and they came in and they rezoned. I mean, I can ask it, if we have any debate, I think the next step would be asking Paul to research particularly those two residential properties that are zoned commercial, but I think this, like, I don't want to say like spot zoning, but I almost feel like they said, hey, CPS is going here. And I imagine some of the houses are older than that particular building, right?
Actually, those two houses look newer.
The two in the, which two? The two in the corner?
The two that are residential over on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
they are.
no, they're not really young, but they're
This
not.
one is, yeah. This one, they're not
Looking at
ancient.
them. Yeah.
Here's the argument I'm going to make here. I have no issue taking out these two properties, where it houses residential. I have an issue with taking out CPS Technology because I think it differs quite a lot from Reed and Barton by the fact that it has access to rail. And by definition, that makes it industrial.
I get that, but again, going back from what we said, like not going through residential areas, specifically, like especially that property, the rectangular property, there's no access from South Worcester. And I get you could do the easement and everything else, but I'm going to use Denise's argument. CPS can sell that tomorrow.
Yes,
right? And
well,
then they can sell the other
they-
parcel that doesn't, like,
they
we
could
looked
also
at it.
buy this parcel and then they have perfect access to that
Well,
lot.
they could, but then I think then we relook at it and then that would become something that potentially could be within the zoning. But right now, that particular parcel doesn't have access from South Worcester and it shouldn't be in there.
Okay, well, none of these have access from South Worcester either, and they're in there.
No, but they have the main, they
CPS
have
does.
the main road.
Why would you not include the CPS property? That has access to South Worcester.
I didn't say take out CPS. I said that rectangular one. But, I'm still going to go back to, right, Reed and Barton spot zoning. I get the impression that that's what that is. And I don't necessarily think that the marijuana, again, we're going to go back to one of the reasons why we decided to do the overlays, because we know we can't, without putting air quotes, trust our zoning. And we wanted to do it with more thoughtfulness on the
Well,
approach.
Then you have to take out all of this for the same argument.
But why? It's on
I
John
think-
Scott, and that's all.
This is not on John Scott. There is no access on that parcel, on that parcel, on that parcel to John Scott. It only has rail access.
Can
So
we
you don't
flip on
think
the
you
other
can
side?
access? Can you access this property on the other side from John Scott? That's what I'm
No.
trying to get to right now from Maps Geo.
Hang on.
I think you forget how much thought we put into it to begin with.
I know, but
Hours
you
and
know what,
hours
Denise?
and hours. Wait.
I agree, but looking at this and seeing, like, I don't think on this particular area we ever did like a drop down into those two tiny little parcels to realize that there were houses there, or did we realize, because again, looking at this map, right?
Again-
You're not
again,
seeing
it's-
houses.
Is houses in literally every area that we have because we have allowed non-conforming uses in every area of this town.
All right, can everybody see?
Yes.
All right, hang on, let me get to the right. Oop, Just have to go up. Or is that it?
That's
Is
it
that-
right there.
That's the blow up? Okay, I was
That
thinking
one.
that's two. Hang on, I gotta move you, you're in my way. Everybody go over here. Okay, so let me zoom in. So
Just
this
my-
is the main road.
Yep.
This is some little, I forget the name of that road, but this is rail line. That is not a road. So none of this has access to the main road,
So only that first parcel.
just that first one.
But I would say South Worcester is a main road too.
I would, yeah, which is why I'm okay with this here, because this, no, this is John Scott.
I think that's John. That's the split. That's John.
That's
Yeah,
John
that
Scott, and
turns
this is
into-
South Worcester.
Having walked along South Worcester, it is a 2-lane road. They are traveling at very high speed. Like I said,
Are they supposed to be traveling at very high speeds? Like, is it what people do and what they're supposed to do are two different things, especially
It
during
is-
stay-at-home orders.
It is not where I would want to be living. No. I would imagine getting in and out of your driveway is a challenge on this road, especially around that corner. So when I was standing at the in the parking lot of the rectory to cross over, like I had to be very careful because cars were coming so fast around this bend, and I couldn't
Mm.
see them.
The only other thing I'll say is just be cautious about the precedents that you're setting. If you say that because there's residences that are next to the area that you're carved out for industrial, that you don't think it's a good fit, you better look at a whole lot of other areas too.
But I don't think that's the argument, Denise. I think the argument is that of those 5 parcels that are in there, right? 5?
It's like 4.
4 parcels that are in there. You know,
3 of them have access to a main road.
but 2 of them and everything around them is residential. So I don't know how it's different than down by the farm, down by, I just lost its name.
So go
Winslow.
go to the farm area. The only reason why we took it out is because it's wrapped around that residential, big
Yep.
chunk of
No,
residential.
no,
there.
we took it out because of the main road.
No, we took it out because of I remember the conversation clearly, because it
Because
wrapped around there.
you can't get to anything that's going to be of value to a user on this lot because it's all wrapped around residential.
So we started with,
so we kept it-
excluded this one because there was no
It's water,
access to this main road, and it was waterlocked, for the lack of a better word. You couldn't do anything with it. That's where it started, but
So that second lot that we're talking about, if you go try to enter it from John Scott Boulevard, you possibly could buy a piece of property there if there's some way you could get an easement over those tracks and access this land that is industrial.
and I think we left this one in because it's already
It's a
some
business.
sort of a business, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is John Scott, maybe? Do I have my streets right?
So I'm trying to see where this falls within our zone, because I'm looking at the geo maps.
Yeah.
And there is industrial there, and it was 501 207 John Scott Boulevard. So it would be do you have lot numbers on those maps or anything?
I don't know. But I can pull up GIS if you want me to.
That's Eddy Street down there.
Eddy Street, you're right.
Yes. I
Yes.
remember the conversation now.
Yeah, this, sorry, I'm pointing with my finger. You can't see me. This, I believe, was John Scott. I think, maybe.
I don't know, every time I get to this part, like I'm so not familiar with this area, and every time I get to this part, like all of a sudden, it's because that railroad track looks like a
140
perfect
more
street.
right there.
Yes, you're right. Again, Sandy's right. This is
I know.
140.
We're gonna have Sandy talk about this.
I guess my thing is, you know, that, again, it's such a small little area. We took out Red Mill because it's residential.
Or-
We took out areas that were residential. And I just don't see the reason why we would leave this one in. It seems like it fits with all the other arguments we were making for the other pieces that we took out.
All right. Well,
So
what about
find me-
this? What
I was
about
saying,
this one then?
I say, find me the lots that aren't abutting residential.
No, it's not that they're not abutting. There are houses in these lots.
There's one industrial building in an entire huge residential area, neighborhood. There's plunked down in the middle of this residential neighborhood is one big, I guess, CPS Technologies, you know, industrial building, and then everything else around it. So it is more residential than it is industrial.
What's the like greenish color versus the pinky color where her mouse is now? Is the pinky that pinky is not Village Commercial, right?
Which pinky here?
Nope, down. This, what is this? It looks pink on my screen. Some
No,
sort
it's-
of
Oh, here? This?
Wait, are there two different? They are two different ones. What is that? Yeah, what is that?
That's Village Commercial.
And then what is to the left?
The left, this?
No, where you were, right? Nope, to the left, a little bit to the left. What is that color right there?
Residential. It's either R60 versus R40. I don't remember.
It's like a beige color. What color you see on your screen?
Like a pinky beige?
It's a lighter beige. It's still residential.
Okay. And then the other residential is the darker, and is that a hardcore resident? Like, what's the difference? Like, this
I
is
think
more
it's
dense, the
R40
other one's
versus
more, okay.
R60. I forget exactly what it is, lot size or.
Did we look at this area here, that Village Commercial? No, because it's on a railroad and it's within, I gotta tell you, I mean, I think, again, based on what we've looked at before on this, I think the houses come out and I think that long rectangular one comes out. And Laura, to the point, if they do purchase another property and it becomes, they have access from South Worcester, then I think we revisit it to put it within the overlay. But right now, I don't think it fits the criteria that we've talked about. I see why it's industrial now, but.
No
Well,
one's going to revisit it.
you can also look at, okay, I understand it's across from railroad tracks. It's not a road you can cross, but this is definitely an industrial zoned area. So they're directly across the street from these two lots are industrial zoned areas. The street happens to be railroad tracks, but
I'm not buying that argument. I appreciate you trying it.
again, I'm never going to give up the fact that they have railroad access. That is by definition industrial.
I agree.
Let's take a vote.
I agree completely that it's.
I'd take out the houses. I got no problem taking out those two houses, but you have to leave the two that are already zoned industrial and being used as industrial.
But the one isn't being used, and again, it doesn't have our
It
primary
has the
thing.
potential to be.
Our
But we not then we really are getting into a dangerous category with spot zoning, right? If we're picking of those four, which I probably already is spot zoning to begin with, but we just haven't gotten, called on it. And now we're taking two of those out. So we have two properties.
No, she's talking about taking 3 of them out, only leaving 1.
Well, I'm talking
what is
two
that
more.
other?
It doesn't really matter. I think once you get it down to 1 or 2 properties, again, why don't we then take Reed and Barton and zone that 1 property and put that in the overlay?
So the difference is,
1 or
and
2
I-
properties.
the difference is you get to these off of South Worcester, which is the main road. There is no main road that takes you right to the Reed and Barton property.
And there's no railroad that goes by Reed and Barton.
I don't know that I would say that part of South Worcester is a main road.
Why? Because there's houses on it?
No, because it's not. It's a very narrow road.
Well, so wait.
Turn on Elm Street. I don't know how that makes it a main road. It's a little.
Because there's Village Commercial area here. There's a bunch of businesses that are along that area, right?
Right, the other section is, but that little loop there, I don't.
It's all one road.
No.
So wait, let me do this. Laura,
Big
I'm
road.
sorry. I'm sorry, Sandy. I'm going to cut you off for this one particular thing, because one of the things that they mentioned in the emails was a one-way sign and or a no truck sign. Hold on, I have some sort of a filter on my email. Let me just find that what was submitted.
So my guess is when CPS went in, they wanted to direct the trucks probably out to whatever this intersection is up here instead of through the other way. So they probably had CPS trucks coming and going, but only through, what is this road with the other industrial area here? I forget the name of it. John Scott.
I don't know how they would get in there because they'd have to get over the railroad tracks.
No, go up Southwest to the intersection, then go around.
Okay, South Worcester. So this turns into John Scott.
Yeah,
That's railroad track.
correct.
How else do you get into this lot unless it's from South Worcester? That's railroad track. You can't cross it.
What I'm saying is they probably tried to, whatever is Renee is talking about, the other issue is probably trying to direct the trucks, because every time there's any kind of industry someplace, the trucks going up through houses is the biggest concern, right? So they probably had the trucks coming in and out of up this to the intersection of John Scott and then down John Scott.
So what she says in
versus
the
the other
email.
direction.
Yeah, what she says in the email is Power Street as the most direct route to 123 is a no tractor trailer street, which turns into a one-way at the end in front of St. Mary's, where there tend to be a large backup. So, so it's Power Street heading to 123. I don't
Which is
I
right
don't
here.
think that I don't think that impacts us.
No.
No,
You mean it's up far? Sorry, I just switched back. It's up farther north, right? Yeah.
This
So
is
it's
this
the
is
one
the
way
end of
is from-
Power Street.
yeah, the one way is all the way around this loop here.
yep. Now, what were you saying about access to that back parcel, Laura?
The back parcel.
Yeah, that rectangular one?
Oh, I thought somebody was trying to say that that's how the trucks were going in, and there's no way for the trucks to get in because they would have
Right.
to cross the tracks.
Like, I mean, honestly.
So the trucks have to go down South Worcester.
Right, right.
So they currently have truck traffic.
So when I look at this, specifically when I look at this, I think that the rectangular one doesn't meet the criteria because there is no, how do you have that parcel there? Like, how do you get to that parcel, period?
Well, that's why this company probably bought it. It was probably for sale, and they said, well, we can expand, because they actually take up a good, if you look at the aerial, they take up a, oh, I'm not on the right screen. They take up a good portion of their parcel.
Can you, do you, in your satellite view? Oh, hold on. I got the maps from Serped in an email where we have the satellite view.
Okay, this one?
Yeah, but I have it with the overlay. Remember we were requesting it from? I just have to find the email.
Okay.
I saw it come through. Hold on. Sandy, were you on that email?
Which one? Sorry, the new maps?
Yeah, the one from Eric.
Yep.
I didn't send it out to the group. I know I have it. I saw it come through when I was on a call, and here we go. We did it on OneDrive. Okay, so let me, he did 2 maps. So we asked them to take out the watershed, and we asked them to, let me launch this real quick, Laura, and then I'll assume screen sharing, and it might help. And then I'm going to have to download this. I don't know how long they're, ooh, this is different. Hold on, I just kind of lost it. Oh, this is really different. I don't know if this is gonna, okay, give me 1 sec.
So, I mean, before you go through great lengths, I mean, does anyone need more information to make a decision how they want to vote?
Well, I want to just take a look at what this looks like, Denise, and then we'll. So this is with the, did we have parcel boundaries in there? We did, right? Why does it seem like we have more things now in the overlay than what we did before? Let me download this.
Hang on, let me go get out of full screen and I can tell you what's in the overlay. So the overlay has the Water Resource Protection District, which I think we asked to take them out.
Yep.
R80, R60, R40, Village Commercial, Commercial, and Industrial.
Yeah, so he added in structures, water, and parcel boundaries. Let me share my screen here.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, just gotta pop it open. There we go.
So now we have a couple more things, which I think just clutters the map and makes it even more confusing. I don't know why. Is it, I guess, the parcel boundaries because of the satellite view? So let me take us through. I think this, what do you guys think? I'm almost thinking this parcel view is,
I think it helps in comparison to the prior one because of the diagonal water district that was in the old one was confusing people like Rob Welch.
no, I know that that's out, but so that is out, but he added in this parcel boundaries, which is just in structures, which is just making it more, I don't know, I think it's more difficult to read.
I
No?
don't mind it. No, this one
Okay.
doesn't have structures. This just has the, I think this
has
is
the
very
parcel
clear.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is East Main Street. Come on, map.
I
There's
like the other one where it had the structure so you can actually see what's there and in what,
like this.
where it is on the parcel, the existing building.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at, right? Over here.
Yes, but over further. Yeah.
So am I on the right one?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Oh, is that as clear as I'm gonna get? Let me back it out. Oh, come on. So my questions, we had that, like what, remember that sliver? I guess we didn't have it because this is this whole big parcel.
Yeah, only that tiny little edge is industrial and there was
Okay.
no access except for via the railroad tracks.
Like this one.
Yes.
And then
And it has a house on it.
these. This has a house on it? Or
No,
this one does, you mean?
That one does. It's like, it's a gigantic piece of property and it's got a, I forget exactly. I think there's like a cape in there and I had to go hunting for it on the satellite view.
Okay. So let me go to the next one that's going to show the zoning. Oh, look at this one's right.
Yep. Okay, so they fixed it. That's good.
Yeah, the parcel line helps on here because you can't see the whole big area.
Mm.
So we have right now this property that doesn't have access from the main road. These two have houses on them. I'm gonna say, I can't tell where this parcel, is this the parcel here? With the whole parcel there with just a little bit on the railroad that's industrial?
I'm not sure if that's an entire parcel, if I can't
The
imagine
railroad-
the parcels would cross the railroad tracks, unless there's an easement granted to the rail.
Mhm.
I would think those are separate, which would also explain why they're a different color.
I think in our conversation, we talked about this is a warehouse,
Mhm.
right? And there is a drive that goes back to it with access here.
It's entirely possible. Or there could be.
Michael, I thought you were the one that was speaking to this. Michael, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. It's too small. Hold on a minute. So your question to me again is?
So I thought, this was, I think it's split. Like, wasn't this just subdivided? This particular warehouse. I thought that there was a road that actually led back to these other properties, and that's why we left these in here.
I don't recall, Renee. Sorry.
That's okay.
Why did we?
I think that's why. From what I remember, because it was based on access from here.
Well, go to satellite. We should be able to see the road, if there is one.
Good idea. Great idea. Hold on, I'm zoomed in so far. It's taken forever to get up there.
Well, no.
Actually-
Go to actual satellite.
Well, here's the one that we had. What is this here? That building didn't even look like it was on the map. Right, this is the horizontal part. 1, 2, 3. Boundary line.
Excuse me.
The boundary line's here. So on this one, there's something there. Right, because that's the building, there's the boundary line.
Yeah, that's all one big lot if you notice.
But this is clear and there's something there.
Yeah, but look at the yellow line, the wide yellow line, the bright one. That's
This?
No, it's not.
This is our overlay.
Oh, never mind.
Can I ask a question? Didn't we also take out Mike's Pizza area for the same reason? The fact that it was mostly residential?
Where's Mike's Pizza?
It's on 140 and it's not industrial,
No,
it's commercial. We didn't add it in because of that.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Didn't we not put it in the overlay because of the fact that it was mostly residential, even though there are some businesses there?
Yeah, I wanted to add it in. I'm just gonna make that known. I gotta find it on here. Hold on, let me zoom out of these. Somebody tell me when you see something that's, where is this one? East Main. Is that on the same one?
Go back to the original one. Where's the original one?
Our original diagram?
No, the big map of the whole town. You can
Oh,
see.
the front page. Hold on, I gotta hide you guys. Okay, so,
Go to the other one, the other view,
oh, the
non-aerial, just
The
the.
co- The colored one?
I should be on it, but it's not loading. There we go.
There you go.
This right here.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
we also determined it was just too close to the center and we didn't want things near the center.
I don't think it's any closer than the other pink area. That's above.
I thought this was appropriate, but you guys said there were houses here.
don't remember
did?
having this one.
Yes, you did. Remember, this was an add-in too. It would have been an add-in.
What do you mean?
It wasn't previously in the zone, right? So this was previously in the zone.
I,
All
I
the
think
industrial.
that I think that red section was taken out because it's next to a school. That Testament, whatever it is.
This?
Oh, maybe? But
Yeah,
that,
there was a preschooler, it was a young children's school up there.
I don't think it's even preschool. I think they do have older kids that go through it. It's a Testament something or other school.
Might even be
I don't know.
one through 8th grade.
K through 8, yeah.
Had nothing to do with houses. It had to do with the fact that it was next to a school.
I don't remember why this was taken out, but I do know that there is a school along there.
I'm telling
Well,
you, we went through and it
whatever
was
it is.
residential. We had a couple, there's like a car fixer-upper place.
I'm gonna tell you, I'd never take it out because it's next to houses. I've preached this so many times. I could care less.
Anybody know the address of that Testament place?
I can look
I
it
mean,
up.
I'm not looking to add it in, like we decided way back when we weren't going to, but
I'll look it up. Hang on.
and then if we do a 500 buffer on it again, because I don't think that was the reason why.
Is it the one New Taunton Ave?
Yeah, it looks like it. New Testament Christian School.
One that's for sale right now.
It's for sale. It's not a school.
This for sale sign right in front where the school is.
Oh, I did not know that.
On New Taunton Ave, on 140.
One New Taunton Ave. Hang on, let me pull up the map and see where it pins it. I remember it being on the corner of a main
Barrows.
road, a cut-through road.
Yeah, Barrows. It's on.
Yeah.
One New Taunton Ave, Life Church. Right?
This is showing it's next to Woodward, not Barrows.
Really?
It is Woodward and New Taunton. I'll share my screen, Michael.
Maybe I'm not thinking of the same place then.
Of course, I have to find it.
Oh, I'm almost positive that's.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Does Woodward go into Barrows? No, Barrows is where? What am I thinking of? Isn't there a school near Barrows?
I think of the old Pinecroft. That's now in Rehoboth.
I know Pinecroft's from Rehoboth.
So this
That
is
was on
it.
Pine Street, yeah.
Is this the same road?
I don't know.
So the other end is South Worcester. I'm trying to get my bearings. So I just came down Woodward and I hit South Worcester. And I'm trying to figure out where I am.
Well,
There's a
zoom into
ton of
that
industry-
text. Can you
ton
zoom
of
in that
industry
text
here.
picture?
Me?
Yeah, can you just zoom in that picture or something?
Oh, that's in our other. Okay, I know where this is now. Never mind.
So this is south of that area. That's the New
Hold
Testament.
on.
There's New Taunton, Woodward,
140.
Old Taunton.
Yeah, and that's the field. It's got that field right next to it. Yeah, they've got a for sale sign out there.
So
So if it's not a school, put it in.
but that wasn't, like I said, that wasn't, let me even do, I don't remember. How do we do the 500 around? Does anybody remember?
There isn't a.
You do a butters, you have to go to a butters.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. See, Sandy? You should be running this. So there, aside from a couple of properties on the edge, all of this could have been in. But
I don't
again,
know
it
why-
went,
I don't know why it's not, but put it in.
I'm not gonna.
Denise is just exhausted at this point. Just put it in.
I remember the conversation. I don't remember who was objecting, but I remember it was because it was a residential area.
I know I wasn't objecting because I said it's Mike, like you're like driving past Mike's, and then we did like some sort of aerial check, and we were looking at the houses on it.
I would.
So, I mean-
I would bet you $1,000 I was not objecting.
So let's get back to the how can I clear my search? Let's get back to this. Okay, so here I'm gonna, and we can officially take a vote. Here are my thoughts. This right here, it doesn't meet our criteria of access to the main road.
But it hurts nobody leaving it. It does not. Nobody's arguing about that parcel. They're arguing
they're-
about those two. Those are the ones they're arguing about.
I think it's about the whole section period, because the
I'm not
issue,
taking out the whole section, so.
well, here's the thing, right? The issue is kids walking to school, and the school, like in the email, what was brought up was, hold on, wrong email. It's also walking distance and on the main walking route to the JCS middle school, the Yale and Norton High School, right?
I call bullshit.
But this would be the path to JCS, right? So taking these out has no relevance because this would still be in.
Correct. And again, 1.5 miles on South Worcester Street, or 1.25 miles on South Worcester Street, you're going to let an elementary school aged child walk. No.
Someone just could someone just call the vote? Yeah.
I'm not joking. I would call DCS on any parent that let their fourth
I've called
grader.
for a vote at least 3
I'm
times
never-
already.
I'm never telling you about my kids walking to school.
Oh my God.
Well, here's the thing. How are we going to vote to remove the whole thing, or like I need to know how we want to?
Someone make a motion. Someone make a
Yeah,
motion.
somebody. The chair will entertain a motion.
Well,
Jesus.
Can I just go through what our 4 options are, right?
Yes.
4 options are leave the whole thing, take out the 2 residential, which I would argue is now spot zoning, take out the 2 residential and the other parcel, which I now would argue is spot zoning.
So to be clear, we're not saying 2 residential because there's zone industrial. We're taking two houses.
Correct.
2 houses with the house.
Taking 2 parcels off.
Yes. But they're not residential.
So will someone make a goddamn motion?
So, okay, stop swearing on the line. Okay, somebody make a motion. If you want to vote, whoever.
I will make a motion to accept the marijuana overlay in this particular zone as it was prior to this conversation beginning.
I will second that motion.
Okay, so that means, just to be clear,
All 4 lots remaining in.
yep, that there will be no changes,
Correct.
to be clear. Okay, hang tight so I can make sure I get everyone. Okay, so it's roll call vote. Michael,
Yay.
Laura,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Sandy.
I am just totally confused. I thought Laura was arguing against this whole thing or taking the whole thing out.
I am. The
She
motion
is.
is to leave it in its entirety as it is right now.
I thought you were saying you thought it was residential and we should take it out.
No, that is not me. I am saying this abuts railroad tracks. By definition, it's industrial.
And she's
And-
pointing to her screen again.
I am. I'm sorry. And there is current industrial business in there, and I think, like I said, I could see potentially taking out those 2 residential areas up on the corner, but I agree it is spot zoning. So for that reason, they stay in.
So back to Sandy.
No.
And I think I'm the only one left. Did I miss anyone? Okay.
Wait, Sandy,
in-
what did you say, Sandy?
I said no.
Did you want to change your vote? Anthony?
I feel like we're being completely inconsistent here. in
I'm
terms-
just
I'm-
making sure that I'm tracking it.
I'm saying no as well, and my reasoning is because 322, while yes, it might be zoned industrial because it has a railroad, it has no access from the main road, and that would be my only change. But majority wins with 4 yeses and 2 nos. So we will make no change to the marijuana overlay.
I think we need to change our presentation then. Because I think this contradicts what we presented. That was my issue from the beginning, is that we made the comment that We took out areas that were like Reed and Barton that were largely residential. For that reason, we took out the area by Mike's Pizza for the same reason. We've said that at meetings.
Well, we didn't remember, we didn't take it out. We just didn't include it.
Right.
Right. That wasn't a takeout. So let's look at, I want to look at Reed and Barton. So this is 4 properties zoned industrial, right? What is Reed and Barton? 2.
We took out Red Mill.
Red Mill was never in.
Okay,
We just didn't include it.
The overlay. I mean, that, again, nobody really cares what was in, what was out. They care what's in the overlay, right? And we said the way we made our selections was based on if we felt that the character of the area was largely residential, that we would take that area out. So again, that's where I think the argument came from a couple people saying, well, you're saying that, but now you're saying you're going to leave this property in, but it meets the same.
Well, then we should have never been saying that. I think the access shouldn't be through residential areas. It should be on the main roads. But I don't remember us saying that all the properties were not residential or in residential areas. If that's the case, then we probably literally have 2 properties to pick from.
No, it was, if we found a spot that was sitting in like if it didn't meet the character of the area, if it was sitting in residential, but I mean, Sandy, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is like, there's multiple areas here zoned industrial. Like I said, so we are about to put in the bylaw, just so you know, we're about to put in the bylaw that it has to have access from the main road. I don't know why 322 is in here. Because it does not have access to the main road. So it never, and this is going back to the 140 conversation on some of those houses that were like behind other ones. We said, no, they don't have access from the main roadway. I don't care about easements. I mean, you know, that's a whole different story, but this right here goes against the bylaw.
I think the fact that it is abutting a piece of property that does and has the same owner, thereby there is access.
But we're not looking at ownership. We're looking at parcels. We didn't look ownership anywhere else, ever. We're looking at parcels, right? We even said it, even when we were doing the TPC area.
So how did it get in here in the first place, I guess is my question.
If you're going to take this one out, then there's one up,
Wait,
there's one up
stop.
on 123. It's the same situation.
No, here's the difference. It got in here because we had this listed as industrial when we looked at it.
Correct. But
That's how it got in.
But what I'm telling you is there's one on 123
No,
that was.
we couldn't have because it's not in our overlay.
Because
If
we
it
clicked
was-
on this is a parcel. We did 322 as the parcel, not realizing that these were separate.
No, the rectory has always been residential. It was never zoned industrial, or it would have been in our overlay.
So, I mean, we'll have to go back to the original maps that Sandy provided to see, because this, and unless we just didn't give this area a good look, but this never would have made it in. And I thought we went through that night, everything, like when we were talking about access, I thought we went through every one of these again. And if we were looking at the parcels that Serped, or the map that Serped did, this was showing as industrial without a boundary line. So we never would have known that 322 didn't have access from the main road.
If it was, then it would have been in our overlay. I think Serped made a mistake in creating our overlay map and marking it as industrial. The GIS map does not show it as industrial. And if it was industrial on the GIS map, we would have included it in the overlay.
So Sandy, can you go back to your initial paper ones that we reviewed in the selectmen's meeting room?
I don't really understand what the point is, though. I mean, either way, either we made a mistake, right, or we missed it somehow. But it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't meet our criteria.
Well,
And
and then I'm going to argue that nothing along the railroad tracks meets our criteria.
Right.
That's fine too. I have no problem taking those.
But this is it right here. This is the main roadway. Every one of these parcels has access.
Keep going left.
Right, and this is the part that, remember on the aerial, there's something there.
Yeah, there
talked
is,
about
but
this.
not to the one behind it.
I think we're just overthinking this here, guys. I think that we should say these are the factors that we considered, but that is not an absolute decision maker, right? There are other factors that might play into it. So I don't think we have to say if it didn't meet this criteria, we didn't consider it at all.
But we're putting it in our bylaw that it has to have access.
I don't think we said that we can, I think if those factors were considered, I don't think we said it had to have access. I think if,
No, that is a bylaw ad. That is one of the additions in the bylaw.
access to a main road.
Yes. So that was one of the things that remember we asked her multiple times, and so you wrote it up, and it
Yeah.
says specifically,
I do remember putting that in. I'm going to take this out then. Even if there's a road there, it's not a main road.
So even the stuff down further on South Worcester,
hold on.
head
me
east,
get
you got to take all that out too.
Further down South Worcester.
Yep.
This here.
Go to the right. That whole section has to come out.
This is,
That's the railroad tracks.
And there's a
this
couple,
is
and there's a
South Worcester
couple,
right here. I don't
and it's-
understand. Why would we take it out?
Yeah, is South Worcester considered a main road?
Yes.
We're arguing that South Worcester is not for the
No, no, no.
purposes of ICPS technologies.
No,
there's a
I'm
couple-
not. That is not what I'm arguing. This right here has no access to South Worcester.
So I'm a little confused. We,
22 has no access to South Worcester. It doesn't meet our requirements. This absolutely does.
So you're going to
These
piss off
absolutely
people
do.
by leaving in the houses and taking off this gigantic thing that has a railroad siding. That's what you're saying we're going to do?
Yeah. There's no, according to what we're putting in the bylaw, there's no access. So why would it have been, and that was our criteria, why would we have included it?
so listen, even if we kept it in and we said that it had to have access to the main road, that why can that still not hold true? Whoever acquires that land, if it's someone different, they have to get access through one of the other lots to the main road.
But we didn't do that for 140, right? We looked at those houses on 140 and we said, no, this doesn't fit because it's not a parcel that's on the main road.
Well, then I think we have to look at all these maps again, because I can guarantee there's other ones too. I know for sure there's some on 123.
So, hold on, I'm going to flip to that.
There was a couple on 123 that were landlocked.
Okay, so you're saying down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's, what's this area called? Business and Industrial Zones, Charlie. Oh my goodness gracious. Is this it?
Nope.
I can't tell with the yellow.
I know the yellow is really hard. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay, where are there areas landlocked?
this is not 123.
This?
Oh, maybe I meant. No, this is 140 you're on right now.
This?
This is 123.
This is Attleboro.
That's the town line. Now the one next to, go down to where 50 Pleasant, oh, hang on. You probably can see it, but you're covering it up. Actually,
So
no.
see what this little like bulbous thing is?
What is that?
But those lots that are on the left of that do not have access to a main road.
What do you,
That cul-de-sac.
The little
oh,
bulbous
this thing.
Yeah,
Is that really a word?
a bulbous. It was better than the word I was going to use.
Oh,
It's kind of hard to see the parcel
oops.
boundary. Ooh, whoa. Yeah, go to that one. That might help.
That's not a street though, that's just a little access way to all those properties from the main road, right?
Right. So what I'm saying is take out 1, 2, 3 lots there.
Well, no, they have access from the main road.
That's not a main road.
That's like a driveway that you're looking at there.
This,
That's-
bulbous.
Yeah.
Our reason for putting those in was future development. Okay.
I listen. I'm not saying they shouldn't be in there. I'm saying if we're gonna say that if it doesn't have access with it for a driveway onto the main road, then it doesn't meet that criteria. Then those three should come out.
But that is a driveway, Denise, right? That's not a road, that's a driveway.
That's like an entrance.
Right.
If it's shared by 3 or 4 properties, it must be a road. Whether it's a small road or a big road, it's still a road.
Private road, right.
Hold on. Let's move this around.
So I'm just curious, are we still debating the item we took votes on, or now are we just revisiting every lot that we've already deemed? Because, guys, I don't have the stomach to do that tonight.
Neither do I. But I think the point we're trying to make is, if we're going to change if we're gonna stick that sternly to the criteria, then we're gonna get a lot more headaches, and we're opening ourselves up to a lot more headaches. Is the point, I think.
Well, that was the criteria that we talked about.
What wasn't the criteria talked about?
The road.
You just said the other lots that you thought we should take out because it didn't have access to the main road.
Right. So this is all one parcel. This is not, but it has this little. I mean, that's
Number
like
number 9, number 16, number 17. What are those?
Where are you at 9?
Right
Number
here.
9 is this one.
Okay, that's next to it.
16. These are all the split parcels that we had.
Okay, so those are probably all okay.
And this we talked about with the drive. Right? This isn't the street. It's the access point from the main road.
Okay, it's not a main road though, so then we're not going to say that it has to have access to the main road.
Well, what do you want to say?
Every side street's an access to a main road.
It's not a side street though.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it has its own name. It's a drive.
I bet you if you go down there's a street name on it.
Yeah, there is. It's Decal
Yeah.
Drive. It's right here.
Right.
So you tell me. I mean,
I thought we looked at industrial properties a little bit different because they were already zoned. Okay, we did take those other factors in there, but we scrutinized those a little bit less than commercial-based property. I mean, commercial zonings. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I really apologize. It's way past what I thought I was going to stay on here for, but I got to bail, guys. I apologize.
no, understood.
I got to get some stuff done.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. So what do we want to do?
I think we voted already, but it's
I'm talking, I mean, so then the issue that Sandy brought up was if that's the case, right? And to Denise's point, these two right here wouldn't be in the overlay. I mean, I consider this access from the main road. It's a commercial industrial area.
they have access to a main road. I don't know. I would say leave them in. That's my take on it, but
I think
if we go through this map, I bet you we can find a lot more contradictions in that theory. What we did is we took each property in each area and try to make sense in a simple logic. I think the South Worcester property is such a troubled property to begin zoning spot. It was zoned before we even got involved with this, and now we're trying to make a judgment on that. I think there is access, and I think you have to look at it as a full. It is an industrial zone, so.
Well, so here's what Denise wrote in the bylaw for the change to go to council to finesse the language. It specifically says primary vehicular access must be established off the main roadway or off main roadway.
Okay, so that is allowing for a future access, not what currently exists.
So you're saying your argument is it's industrial. If they wanted to use it, they need to get access off the main roadway.
Correct. If they wanted to put a warehouse back there, it would only be allowed if they got easement to South Worcester.
Mm-hmm. It's weird. I mean, it has a South Worcester address. These are the weirdest, like,
Well, what else would it be? It abuts a railroad track.
no,
I
I know,
bet you there's-
I didn't.
I bet
didn't
you
know
there's
what the address
already,
would
I
be.
bet you there's already an easement in place.
It probably is.
There's probably a deeded easement already. If
Although-
it's got, if it,
Considering CPS owns it, they probably didn't need it.
That's pretty much all wetlands back there.
Everything's
So
wetland.
they're only going to be able to build if they tie into, they expand what they have right now.
Yeah.
And kind of cross over the boundary lines there.
Oops, I hit the wrong button. Okay, so anyway, any further discussion, or are we good with this?
No, my only comment was that I think then when we present, we have to take those statements out.
Which statement specifically? Because the ones going in the bylaw.
Back and listen to what the presentation was, because I understood the woman's point when we were saying we took these properties out, for all these reasons. Maybe we just don't say that.
Well, I mean, I think, but here's the difference. Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to be contradictory in what we're saying. I think the difference is here is, you know, when you look, this isn't alone. Like when you look at the map, there's industrial here, there's industrial here, there's village commercial here. When you look at this is it, right? Like this is 2 properties zoned industrial sitting in the middle of a residential area with no access. Elm Road is not a main access point. South Worcester is a main access point.
So again, I go
Right?
back
John
to
Scott.
Mike's Pizza area.
I mean, like I said, I remember the conversation was, and I could have swore it was Denise that said it's residential in here. Because I
And
said you have,
Denise
and
would not have said that.
I know, and that's why, but I swear it was Denise.
I would have been in favor of grabbing it. I don't
Well, we
see-
went through it.
Yeah, I know. I
so-
don't remember specific. I probably just gave in at 10:45 and just said, screw it.
I know, but so who,
Take it-
well,
take
let
it
me
out.
ask this, who would have been opposed? Because I wasn't opposed to it, Denise wasn't opposed. If you weren't opposed, who was opposed? We had to have enough people that were opposed to not consider it, because this was one of the areas that Sandy had on the map.
The only thing I can think of is the proximity to the town center or Wheaton or,
Well, it wouldn't have been Wheaton because we didn't look. Like I said, these exterior properties are within the 500 feet of the church.
Renee, can you zoom out a little bit more?
yes, please.
Too much? Or you want to see the whole town?
No, that's good. I'm trying to figure out where 123 is.
So here's
Oh.
123.
So that's the center.
Yep, and then it pops down. Hold on, I'm too far out to actually see where the line is. Why does it look like the road's not even on here?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Hold on, let me get rid of some of this stuff.
Oh, there you go.
There
Yeah.
we go. So this is 140, right? Comes down. One of these is Mike's Pizza. There's a couple car things. There are some houses on here. I mean, I could see this area because across the street was residential, but I don't know why we wouldn't have grabbed this. Unless it was, we were looking at keeping it, you know, with the exception of some of the
I
industrial.
remember
yeah,
that. I'm trying
some
to
of the-
recall the conversation. We had this conversation about that area.
Well, I know we
Um,
were trying to keep stuff on the outskirts of town as well, and that's definitely not what I would call outskirts.
Right.
And I think, wasn't Wheaton part of the discussion there?
I don't remember Wheaton being in the discussion. I have to be honest with you, Michael.
I
I just-
probably,
I'm grabbing at something, Renee. It's not, but
I know.
I
you're trying
remember
to
us
get in your
talking.
memory.
Yeah, I'm trying. We had a very long discussion about that property, that zoning, I mean.
I think it had to do with not being, it was being too close to the center and not on any of the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
It could have been. I'm not disagreeing. And I mean, again, this wasn't something that we added in. So, I mean, this is a company. It's a company. And then we had, I think, a couple capes, if I remember. Let's
I
say
think there were
house,
like two. Didn't we look? There were like two capes there.
log,
Correct.
Like
colonial.
log cabin?
Said log, yeah. I'm assuming. Isn't that what? Oh, where
Cool.
did it go? Log right there.
That is a big lot.
How many acres is that?
I don't know. These are all, I
40,000.
mean, either that
Is it
or it's
40?
just, we're just zoomed in so much. Maybe it's not that big.
40,000's a 40,000
it's
is an
pretty
acre.
big. I mean, it says the land is 366,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's big.
We're not considering adding this back in, are we?
No. I think we're just trying to figure out why we didn't include it, but I do think it had to do with the center of town. But I honestly, like, I know I was for it, so I want to know who was against it that we didn't vote this one in. And I just don't remember. I do remember the New Testament discussion. The only thing
Renee,
I
can you refer back to a specific date when we would have discussed this? Was I there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was weeks, months that we went through these.
Because I was gonna see if I could try to pull up the meeting minutes.
Yeah, and we went through them, but we voted on the end result.
I don't think any of
So-
the meetings. I don't think any of the meetings captured all the detail on each zoning.
Well, it couldn't because there was so much about parcels and
Right.
There were 4-hour conversations.
yeah, right. And it was, let's look at this area.
Renee, I feel like you've said at presentations that we took out Mike's Pizza
Jesus.
because it was residential.
I think I would have said we didn't include it.
Right?
I think it was residential. I think that was the main primary reason.
I know,
Too
but
many
who said that?
residents.
Because I thought that this was a perfect area. You know, like I said, this part right here, I mean, most of this would have been out anyway, because if it's still truly a school.
Do you
Right.
really want to add? We've already had the public hearing and we've already made this and we've already posted it. You can't add
No.
this. We can't add this.
I don't think we need to unless somebody feels strongly about it. I'm back with Laura's. I think that we looked on it holistically and we said, you know what, it's too far in the
It's, yeah.
in town. And that's why we didn't do it.
Okay.
So, okay, so we're not making changes to this one. Sandy, I know you're concerned. Like I said, I think that these are two very different, we looked at this. I think these are two very different properties in zoned areas. I mean, this is very much, you have a railroad running through it. It's very much an industrial area. There are multiple areas here that are industrial. This one stands alone. I don't think the comparison to say what we consider for Reed and Barton is appropriate for here.
No, I think in general though, again, some of the wording on how we decided what went in and what didn't go in, we might need to be a little more careful with describing how we made those decisions. Because I did see it was being is contradictory.
Well, I mean, it goes back to like our primary point in all of this has been, what it is today doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be what it is in 10 years. Right?
Yeah, but I mean that's we did not include places in the overlay beyond just the one Reed and Barton and the area
Not other, it was this section right here we didn't include, right?
commercial areas we did not include because of the reason that we felt it was too much residential in that area.
Well, I think this section here, I mean, it's all houses.
Yep.
Right. I again, center of town, and this right here was more access. I mean, I'm not seeing anything that negates what we've been saying because these areas were all about the school. Like, I think this is a great little spot, but it's sitting right next to a school. So I don't feel like we've been conflicting with that. I think that they all have different reasons. But I can see what you're saying. I mean, it's certainly, you know, part for discussion. But I feel comfortable with what we've been communicating. You know, we had quite a bit of conversation on this section here. What was that street again? Sandy, that you had mentioned?
The Dean Street,
Eddie,
already.
Eddie Street, yeah. And this was that weird little one, remember? And we talked about this at length because of how this was and, you know, the weird zoning that just needs to be fixed, period. This is Eddie right here, right?
no, that's 140. Eddie's the one that runs
This-
east-west.
This here?
Yep.
And I remember conversation on this that we felt this was a mistake and that's why we kept that piece in.
Yeah, we couldn't actually, that was the parcel you couldn't actually select,
Click on,
if I'm not
right.
mistaken. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Let's see if I can do it now. Well, see, the parcel shows that it covers the whole thing, but was this one.
Oh, that you couldn't select on. Yeah.
Let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, that's the one we couldn't select. We can only get that one to its bottom. Okay, anyway. So we reviewed the area, that's going to stay the same. Let me see if there's any other points from the public hearing that we want to talk to.
We hit them all.
Okay, we talked about the licenses, the 20% we're comfortable with.
Did we get updated Serpid or have we been confirmed where the cutoffs are for those half lots on 140? On Reservoir and
Okay, so Paul talked to that, right? So the overlay is correct. The lots are zoned incorrectly, so they need to fix that before it comes into us. So they can do that change because it was an administrative error. So we just need to wait for Paul to put that in.
Okay.
The one thing I see here is there was the question, and maybe you've already addressed this with council, why the special permit goes with the HCA or the license as opposed to the parcel.
Property, yeah.
I do have that as a question for council.
Okay.
It was
And
that
isn't that
and
a
whether or not
But isn't that a CCC thing? That's not us thing. That's a CCC thing, right?
I believe so.
Because this has nothing to do. The special
Let me see if
permit,
it's-
the town approval. I don't know. I don't want to.
No, hold on, I'm gonna find it. We had the whole executive versus legislative body. I don't know how we missed that. We must have grabbed it from that template that we used. There's the roadway. Sorry, I'm looking through. Okay, so the comments were, I have 1, 2, and 3 highlighted under issuance, transfer, discontinuation of use. First one is, does the issuance to owner conflict with current practices regarding permitting where it typically is issued to the site? And then the note from the first meeting to confirm that the language is correct, that all 3 of those bullets were correct. And then from the meeting, from the public hearing, it was the additional questioning about, can we just have a new applicant with a new HCA amend the existing special permit of the same property? And that's the one. I think it is, Michael, to your point, I think it's a CCC regulation, but we're going to ask council about that anyway. So those 2 I do have. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so I think that's it from the public hearing. The next thing, so the next items on the agenda were the bylaw, the HCR application process. We've been going through the bylaw and what the changes were. I sent that out in an email too. So if you have any comments, let me know. Otherwise, I wanted to wait for our conversation tonight before sending what came from the public hearing to town council, because if we wanted to change something on the odor, I wanted to make sure that we include it in there, but we're not going to make any changes. So I'll make sure to send this. I haven't heard back on the HCA. I mean, I'm sorry, the HCA is approved. It is online. I don't know if we talked about this at our last meeting, but if you go onto the Planning and Economic Development site, Paul's site, you're going to see on the left side a link to the host community agreement. So the approved template from the Board of Selectmen is up there in PDF form and then Word format with track changes on and locked. And then
Can that be live? That can be live before the bylaws are approved.
the template we have to have from any applicant. So it doesn't matter if you're a dispensary. So right now in industrial areas, anybody can go.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so to your point, yes, right now that HCA, in order for them to go in industrial area that's zoned right now, they need the HCA.
Okay. All right. But so it's not, I know it's a separate document. Its life doesn't depend on the bylaws.
The HCA?
Yes.
Correct. It is independent from the bylaws.
Okay.
And there were things specifically where we asked, did we have to have something in the bylaw? And she said it's covered in the HCA. It would be an agreement, not part of the bylaw.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question, Michael. And then I'm going to stop my screen share here so I can see you guys. And then the application process is the thing. I have not heard back from council on the application. So I'll try to reach out for an update. The next item I had was the information panel logistics on, and we don't have to, we can table this if you want to the next meeting. I think it might actually help us to table it to see what the governor's recommendations are on the 18th. But essentially, you know, do we want to move forward with a virtual information panel, like having a panel, like another information session? You know, I fully see over the next 6 weeks or whatever that we have not so much a public hearing, but you know, we have an IDC meeting, and either we specifically have a section for, you know, public discussion, and we kind of mark it and push that out to people to say, look, if you want to talk about this more, we're here to talk about it. But also an information session to really talk about, you know, what we did with the state of marijuana right now in Massachusetts. What do we have in Norton? Because the public hearing was specifically, what's the bylaw? What's the map? It wasn't really about, you know, why many of the changes occurred, or what we expect this to bring to the community, like from a revenue perspective. So I'd like to still move forward with one or at least one, but if we could do 2 information sessions, I think it'd be great. You know, we talked about my friend who's a nurse. She's certainly willing to come in and talk about the health benefits. We have the folks that we talked to previously. I think like right now we have 6 people on the panel. Alyssa said too, in respect to, I spelled Alyssa's name wrong again. I'm sorry, on the screen. I see it's 2 L's and not 2 S's. You know, she's willing to go on if we have one of the existing 3 retailers not interested. I just didn't want to pack it, you know, with many retail folks, because it's really about just sharing awareness, not specific company information. So question on, do we want to talk about it now? Do we want to table it until we have some information from the governor post his subcommittee review that's supposed to be coming out on the 18th?
My thought process is we should set the agenda for a virtual meeting, and then if something changes, I don't see us getting to full informational session meetings yet, but that's my opinion. I wouldn't be in a rut by the time this has to happen, which would maybe be July for a town meeting. I think we should just move forward with virtual meetings.
But we do still want to do it?
I do.
Okay. So what are we thinking, like, to do this? How do you guys kind of see an agenda shaping up?
I think what the agenda should look like is how you've been kind of presenting it now, Renee. I think
Mhm.
you should talk about the process of what the process was, then do the overlay, then do the bylaw, then within each section you open up for questions and discussions.
Well, we have the panel people too. So where does that? Okay.
So I think the panel people might be at the panel people probably should be
In part of
towards
the,
the
like the beginning.
yeah, I think it should be in the beginning.
So we kind of talk about the process, we talk about potential revenue, we talk about the establishments, and then we have panel specifically talk about the establishments, what they do.
Yeah, and then process what the IDC had done for a process.
Oh yeah, we don't even have that in there. Oh no, I think we have that in there. We don't have, you mean application process or just process in general?
Process in general, I was saying.
Okay. We don't have anything in there on the application process right now on the presentation because we didn't have that until recently. Right, so that should probably be part of the awareness too.
So you're seeing this as, I mean, from what you just said, is clearly a 2-hour meeting.
No, I'm seeing it as no more than an hour. I don't think there's a whole ton of detail that we have to go through.
I'm sorry, Renee. I've never
What?
seen you hold an hour meeting as long as I've known you.
Half hour for overlay and talk about the process, and half hour for a panel. I mean, again, the panel is just going to talk about like the industry, like what they do.
Okay.
You know, how different areas have contributed, like to be partners with the community. I mean, it's not. I don't see more than 5 minutes per person. I mean, it's going to be like my thought on the panel is 2 minutes is kind of like an introduction on this is what we do specifically as an establishment, and then talking about really like partnerships with towns, and then we go into more of like a question and answer across the panel. You know, again, this isn't a marketing campaign. This is how do we increase awareness about a distribution center or transporter, whatever we're calling it these days, about manufacturing, about retailing, about cultivation, right? There's probably less questions on retail stores right now than there is on the other areas. And I got to tell you, every time that we've had the conversation with somebody about, yeah, you know, we don't want a pot shop there. And we're like, well, we're not just talking about pot shops. And they're like, oh, well, we didn't realize that those things existed. Right? Like that's the information that we need to get out there.
Renee, are we going to be able to, or will the people watching be able to like ask questions during the
Oh,
panel,
yeah.
or is there like a time separate?
Oh, like in, I would probably put like discussion after each section. I would open up I would open up, you know, for questions for the panel at the end, but I think that they should go through an overview and we should have 3 or 4 canned questions, right? But I don't necessarily want it to, I don't want it to be like any sort of an attack or
Right,
something
that's
that's,
what I'm, yeah.
Because it really is about information. So, but I think, you know, we talked about this before, like some of the presentations that we've seen. You know, I mean, Alyssa showed us on hers, like, you know, with the potential
Revenues.
yeah, not just revenues, but I'm thinking what the space looks like people, I'm telling you, like a lot of the mindset right now is they're going to look super dumpy, right? It's going to be a lot of people loitering, like, so I think we've seen some really good things. I know, you know, like, I mean, Casco is a completely different, I think, animal from some of the others, but I mean, they have a pretty nice operation, you know? So I think a lot of that, like, again, it's about information sharing and awareness. So I guess what I would ask for this group is if everybody thinks about like 2 or 3 questions that we would ask for the panel, and then at the next meeting, we can go through them to see like what canned questions we would want to include. And then we'll have to try to figure out dates. You know, I don't know if we want to do it on one of our regularly scheduled meetings or if we want to you know, how we want to do it. I'm open either way.
Patients with the disease.
You know.
Who is suspected of having the disease, about 400 in central Massachusetts.
There, somebody talking about Peters. Is that there's some sort of disease or some media going on
Oh,
over there? Can you just mute yourself if you're not talking? Thank you. So does that sound good? Shoot me a couple questions and I'll compile them. And then we can talk about what we'd want. Okay, anything else? Any other ideas? I'll send those maps out too, if you guys have comment or feedback on those, let me know. Okay, anything else on that? On the overlay project itself? Okay. I'm imagining, you know, I know we're not going to set a date until I think the selectmen are getting together. We're going to try for the 19th after the governor gives his recommendations. So we won't know for sure the town meeting. I know that there's a push to have it like June 25th or something like that. But we'll see. I mean, we've had some conversations of having it during the day. I think it's a much safer option on a Saturday to do something outdoors. But since we don't have any dates, I mean, from a perspective of what needed to get done, everything's been done, the abutter notices, the public hearing. I don't know if everybody was on they're keeping the public hearing open, so we're going to regroup again on is it the 25th with them? 26th? Look at my calendar. They asked for the 19th, but I might have a conflict because of the governor stuff. Anybody know offhand? Sandy, Laura, I see you both looking down. You looking at a calendar? I have it on the 26th, Tuesday the 26th. So mark your calendars. I just need to know if we will have quorum so I can post an agenda as well. Okay, if there's nothing more in that, then I'm up for some meeting minutes. I sent those out, I don't know, a week and a half ago. Michael, I don't think I had April 15th on here. I think that was yours. I don't believe, did you send anything out? Michael, are you on mute?
It helps if I unmute. I have not sent those to you yet.
Okay.
I will take care of it.
So we'll skip the 15. So I sent meeting minutes for approval, the April 29th meeting. The chair will entertain a motion, or if there's some discussion.
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Was that Laura or Sandy?
That was Laura.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do roll call. Or any discussion on the minutes? Okay, we'll do roll call. Laura?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I too am a yes, so that's unanimous. Okay, the next sets were from May 5th. That was the that was the public hearing. I'll give you a second and the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted. Anything? Any motion for May 5th meeting minutes?
I move to accept the meeting minutes of Sorry, I lost the date.
May
It's May.
5th.
May 5th.
Second,
Is that second for Michael?
it is.
Okay, roll call. Laura?
Yes.
Or wait, I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Okay, Laura?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Anthony?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. So those are approved unanimously. Okay, that's all I have. Our next meeting right now is scheduled for Wednesday, May 20th. And Michael, you didn't remember our conversation about changing this meeting? I meant to respond.
I must have.
I'm glad I sent the note out this morning.
Yes, me too.
The 20th, not the 27th?
Did
Renee?
I have it written wrong? I don't know. I have it on the agenda as the 20th.
The 20th would be next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow.
I have the 27th.
You know why? Because we changed that recurring meeting and I did not change it on one of my calendars. So I'm off on one of my calendars.
Okay.
Um,
So it is the 27th.
yeah, let me just confirm that. Let me pull up. Hold on. If you can, 1 second. I just want to make sure we didn't say the 20th for some other reason. But it should be 2 weeks from today. 1 sec.
Or tomorrow.
If I have surf, I just,
Tomorrow, yeah. You have Serped on that date?
27th, yeah.
I gotta update my calendars. They're all over the place now. Do you prefer a different date, Sandy, or are you fine with?
No, that's fine. You have to change it for me.
Okay. So I'm going to change that to our next meeting is Wednesday, May 27th, and my apologies for that being incorrect in the agenda. Okay, it's 9:45. Any further discussion? If no discussion, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That is Laura, the fastest ever. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And roll call. Laura?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I too say yes. So we are adjourned at 9:45 p.m. Thank you guys for the discussion and the time. I really thought this was going to be a shorter meeting.
Never jinx us like that again.
I won't. I promise. Okay. Have a great night, guys.
Good night,
Be
guys.
well.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Good night.
night,
You're all
Peter.
good night, Laura. And we're doing a good job staying healthy, washing our hands, staying safe, and staying healthy. Hopefully, this is going to be all over. Me and Judah can resume my busy lifestyle, right?
I agree, Peter. Stay safe, buddy.
That's right. And it'll be back to normal. We'll give you a lot of vaccines and treatments and tests. It's all good.
I hope so. Okay. I'm sure I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good night, Peter.
See you, Renee. See you Thursday.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Alyssa. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.